What's up, people? My name is Anthony Brinson, and welcome back to the What's on Your Mind podcast. We have a very special guest today, and as I always put my disclaimer, we don't know what we gonna say. So sometimes the language may vary based on what we're talking about, and I won't ever try and control my guests speaking, especially if it's part of their normal conversation or normal talking to cuss, so it is what it is. But I try to make it something I think about in my own episodes to not cuss, but in guest episodes, I mean, forget it, bro. It is what it is. But we have a very special guest. I know she a little congested at the moment, so if we hear her congestion, then...
Please, bro.
How you feeling, bro?
Bro, I feel good, bro. I'm gonna try my hardest to talk normal.
Hey, I understand, bro. Introduce yourself, bro.
Bro, okay. My name is Jada. What else you want me to say, bro? Let me tell y'all a funny story, y'all. I met Anthony in the dining hall.
Really?
The strangest. And what you mean, really, bro?
Like, I don't know.
Bro? You was there, bro. Yeah, my name's Jada. I'm a sophomore. I'm a journalism major. Shout out to journal majors out there. I have a minor in documentary production. That's kind of.
You have a position in the state news that I've talked very highly about. And I want to see if I got it right, because I mentioned you in one of my previous episodes.
I do have a position. I am the senior copy editor at the
State
right. News, and I'm also the diversity rep for the state news.
I ain't mentioned all that. But this is why I say you gotta... That's why I said...
That's my title, bro.
I said it in the last episode. You gonna correct me, bro. So go ahead, bro.
Yes, I am senior copy editor for the state news, and basically I deal with all things Associated Press style, all AP things that journalists hate. I hate it too. And I'm also diversity rep for the state news. I handle all diversity. I make sure the stories that we put out do not harm anybody in the most way we can, and I make sure we don't get sued.
Yeah, definitely don't want to do that. Unless y'all got money like that. By all means, handle a lawsuit, bro.
Nah, bro, nah.
But she's still a little humble. She forgot to mention that she's about to be president of her own club as well.
Oh, yeah, you know what? I didn't want to, okay. All right. I'm also about to take over the position as president for the National Association of Black Journalists, the Michigan State chapter. That will start next semester, my spring semester, and I will do it all the way up until I am a junior, going into my senior year.
And that is honestly really incredible. Like, I've told her many times on her own that she's one of the women, especially black women, that I look up to, because she's really smart. We'll get into the fact that she literally graduated with a 4.7 GPA.
Oh, stop.
But say that's nothing. But she is somebody I really look up to, and I'm very honored to have as a friend. But to start off, as I mentioned earlier, high school, you graduated with a 4.7 GPA. As I told you, that is insane. But you also talked about how that wasn't easy at all to obtain. You said you went to a high school. You can say the high school if you want to, or if you want to keep it confidential, then that's up to you. But you said you went to a high school that really pressured you to keep that standard of damn near perfection. So how do you feel looking back on that experience, being a college student now, understanding that sometimes stress is going to be an everyday thing in academics?
High school definitely prepared me for the stress of college, which a lot of people don't say, because when you talk about high school, most people are like, oh, I had 7 classes, I woke up at 6 a.m. every day, but I mean, it was high school, I did math, it wasn't really the strenuous work that we do on a daily basis now. And from my stance, okay, so I'm about to say the longest high school title in the book, but bear with me. I went to Detroit Edison Public School Academy, Early College of Excellence. To shorten that all together, you're going to hear me say DEPSA ECE or ECE. That's my high school. It was in the downtown Detroit area, right across the street from the Eastern Market. And that school was blatantly based on academics. All you did was schoolwork. If you wanted to do any extracurricular activities, the administrative staff would act like they wanted to support your social life skills to get you prepared to talk to people in the real world. But all they cared about was your grades. I was a part of the International Baccalaureate program and the honors classes since I was in 8th grade. So when I got to high school, I was taking college level courses in the 11th grade all the way up until my senior year, which was fully online because of COVID. And it was not the funnest time in the world. Yes, I did graduate with a 4.7 GPA. I'm very proud of that GPA, but I went through hell to get that GPA. You know, and if I talk to some of my IB friends from high school, they'll say the same thing. But it's like, where did that GPA get me? I mean, I go to Michigan State University. I think it's one of the best schools out there. But what else did they get me? I mean, yeah, I can put a 4.7 GPA on my resume, but most people now don't care about that. You know, so kind of sometimes I feel like I went through that stress for nothing. Because, yeah, it got me into my top choice school. But if I go to like National Geographic, which is who I dearly want to work for, they don't give two craps about a 4.7 GPA in high school. They'll be like, wow, you're really smart, but what can you do for me? You know, my school didn't have any journalism class or a yearbook. My school didn't have a yearbook. So my senior year, we don't have a yearbook.
Your school didn't have a yearbook?
No, we had a yearbook, but my year does not have it. It went 2019, 2020, 2022. We don't have a yearbook.
That is great.
And there was no yearbook committee for me to work on. And that's the one thing I wanted to do because I knew I wanted to be a journalist, but I needed the steps so I knew what I was doing in college. I came in my freshman year not knowing what the hell to do in journalism. So I took Journey 108 and I was like, okay, cool, this is what it is. Fast forward to Journey 200, I said, oh, I ain't do none of this before, you know, because like my high school, we didn't do nothing extracurricular. All they cared about was your grades and sports. Now, if you was on the sports team or you were that golden children, literally, and all the students would say that. That's why I was part of the marching band. Everything the marching band did, we funded ourselves through our parents, through our students, through the band directors we had. The school didn't help us not one bit. They got the publicity from us because we were that damn good, but all the money and the hard work and the planning and us going to Tennessee and us traveling out of state for band competitions, our uniforms, our shoes, our Nike tracksuits, our bags, we paid for that, you know? So at one point it was kind of sad to think that I wanted to do all these things, but my school didn't allow it. And I would talk to some of my friends that went to like Cass and Rennie, and they would say, oh, I did all that stuff, you know, I didn't like it, but I did it. And I was like, if I just got the chance to be in it for like 2 weeks, to make my own yearbook, or like to be in a journalism class that they were going to offer, but they took it out because they said, you don't need to learn about the arts. It's not what you need in life. You need to learn about math, science, history, reading, you need to know how to read, you need to know about 2 + 2. And I'm like, I know 2 + 2. You teach me how to write because I want to write for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. And they're like, you don't need to know about that. As long as you know basic English, you'll be okay. And I'm like, I don't want to do this, you know? So yeah, it was boring, but at the same time it was hard. But I'm glad I went through those classes because now I can handle the level of work that I'm doing now. Like for my class I do now, you know, if you go to Michigan State, we have to take these gen ed classes and, you know, they're not fun at all. They're a lot of work. And honestly, taking one of these classes, I would be set. Like if I could just take one class for my 12 credits, fantastic. But that's not how that works. But yeah, they're a lot of work, but I can handle the workload better than I thought because I took these kind of classes in high school. But the difference between now and high school is I expect these professors to not care about my questions. I expected my teachers in high school to at least give a damn about what I asked them, and they didn't give no damn. So I'm like, okay. My professors now actually want to talk to me. They say, hey, Jada, do you need help? Are you guys understanding what I'm trying to tell you? Come to my office hours. My high school professors didn't do that. Granted, we were online for my 12th year, and that's when I did all these projects. But that doesn't stop the fact that you could have reached out and said, hey, do you need help? Like I did. This is going to sound ridiculous, but I did a 30-plus page research paper by myself. Yeah, head scratch.
Yeah, I know you can't see it as I scratch on my head. 'Cause I really love writing. I'm not writing no 30 pages. Yeah, no, unless I'm writing a book, by all means. You wrote a book. You wrote a novel.
Yeah, damn near I wrote a book. A book that I didn't even get as much credit as I thought it would get for. And I did that in 10th grade, actually. So let me correct myself. That was 10th grade. 11th and 12th grade, I did more 7-page papers. I'm like, okay. 8-page papers. I'm like, okay. But I was really doing it by myself and then with my classmates. Like, we would be in group chats like, help me. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Because somebody understand what they're trying to tell us. And we would just go to them when we would have the days we could go in our building during COVID. And they'd be like, oh, just read over the instructions again. If you read the instructions, it'll tell you. Look up the IB website. It'll tell you. The IB website has not been updated since 2016. And we were in the class of 2021. It didn't tell us nothing. So my professors was giving us old information, and granted, to give them the benefit of the doubt, they didn't know no better because the website was outdated. But you could have did something else, you know? I mean, I'm only, 18 years old doing this by myself with a group of friends, and we're trying the best we can. I passed all of it, but at what cost, you know? Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was a lot. But I went through a lot.
Yeah, so I said you definitely earned that 4.7 GPA. Do you remember what the paper was about, the 30-page paper?
So,
in 10th grade?
In 10th grade, all of the students that sophomore year in my high school, Janae did this as well. Janae's my twin sister, had to do a project on, and you could choose whatever project you wanted to do, but you had to make a question. And the question had to be approved, and you could go on making your project. My project, I have high blood pressure, so I did my project based on that. I said...
You're still in my future questions, man. You mentioned them too early.
I said, like, what's the estimate? I can't remember. It was some amount of estimate of how many people in the black community have high blood pressure. And is it rare or genetic? It's genetic, of course, because that's something that runs very high in the black community. So what I did was I took my own blood pressure and I compared it to people who didn't have it in my family and who did have it. And the numbers that I saw were, one, drastic, because my blood pressure usually ranges in the 130s. It's lower than that now, but that's what it was at the time. So, for example, I took, like, Janae's, and hers didn't even reach, like, 115, which is normal. And then I took my grandma, who has high blood pressure, and hers was a little above mine, which is normal if you have it. And then I took my mom. She was kind of around Janae's, but a little bit higher because she had been, like, doing a bunch of stuff that day. So I did my research paper based off of, one, is it genetic? How is it genetic? The history behind it, and what everyday things can affect your blood pressure. Because doing this right now can affect your blood pressure. Like, talking to somebody, that could lower or raise your blood pressure. Mm-hmm. Going in a car and driving can raise your blood pressure. Of course, working out, it can raise it. Doing schoolwork, being at school, getting stressed out, all of those things can raise your blood pressure, whether you feel it or not. So that was my project. It was studying people to see how their blood pressure raised throughout the day. And I think it was a pretty good project. I made my own poster board. I took people's blood pressures as I was presenting to them, so it was very interactive. And yeah, it was just like a presentation thing that my school made us do. We had no choice. We had to do it to graduate. But I like how mine turned out. So yeah, that was the 30-plus research paper I had to do with abstracts, pictures, recommendations, emails. Most of that is my own writing because the bulk of it is like my research and stuff. But thankfully, I made a topic where I could do so much to write so much. And of course, as journalists, the writing part kind of came easy to me. So it was just doing all the other stuff that was hard, pretty much.
It sounds like a big project to where, because when you hear like 30-page paper, I imagine you just wrote 30 pages about something they gave you. But at the very least, it sounded like something you could do. Like, they gave you at least freedom to go out and pick what you want to talk about. But that's still a lot to do for a 10th grader. Were we like 16, 15, 10th grade?
Yeah, just turned 16.
That sounds like that. Incredible. It sounded like a science fair, like whatever you could do for a project.
It was,
Did you win something, bro? Did they slide you some cash, bro?
No. It was, they put your name on a piece of paper if you was at the showcase, and yeah, you were able to graduate. Some people didn't because they weren't there, so I did it. I graduated, I walked my field, I walked my stage. But yeah, it was basically a science fair, but it just wasn't science.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier, I was going to mention this later, but you mentioned that you had high blood pressure. And the fact, one, my dad struggles with high blood pressure a lot, and I've had my own scares of getting it myself because, like you mentioned, it's genetic. And you've mentioned off recording before we made this episode that you've had it for a pretty long time in your life. So if you don't mind talking about that and talking about the struggles of going through it so young and still going through it nowadays, and
yeah, so I kind of get this age wrong. I always have to ask my mom. I'd be like, so hey yo ma, what was the day you walked in the doctor's office and they told you that your daughter has high blood pressure? I want to say 7. That's kind of the age she usually says, but she varies from 6, 7 to 8. So during my years from 6 to 8, that's when I was diagnosed. And I always remember like asking my mom, how did you feel? And she was like, well, I didn't know how to feel, because the doctors, when they told me it, they were surprised themselves because you don't see high blood pressure in kids that young. Granted, like I said, it's genetic, it can run in the family, but you usually don't start seeing symptoms, quote unquote, because it's called the silent killer. So you usually don't see symptoms till you're at least grown, like in your late 20s, 30s, 40s, that age. So that's when my grandma got diagnosed with high blood pressure and like diabetes that could come with it and all that stuff. But at 6 to 8, you don't hear that heavy of a diagnosis. So I always asked her, what did you do? And she said, well, I did everything the doctor told me to do. She didn't know if it was right or wrong. She just said, you needed to do it, so I made sure you were still here. Because they gave me an age range, and they were like, well, we're going to see how she is when she turns 13, 14, when she goes through puberty, adolescence, see if it goes away, if it was just a miscalculation on their part, because they thought they got it wrong. I mean, usually they're doctors, so we trusted that they knew what they were doing, but it's like diagnosing a 6 to 8-year-old with diabetes, like that early. Like, how do you get that? You know what I mean? Or some life-threatening disease. So I remember early years, it was kind of hard because I had to take, of course with kids, keeping kids still to take medicine isn't the easiest thing in the world, let alone taking a pill. I can take pills really well now because I've had to take them since I was like 9. They used to give me my medicine in like the liquid forms and I would just like drink it. But at certain age, they was like, yeah, Buki, you gotta take this pill right quick. We can't give you this forever. So I was like, oh, okay. Struggled with that for like 2 months. Could not swallow that pill. It was a thing you had to get used to. I had to take the pill once a day. I still take it once a day. My medicine varied. after a while, because it's kind of like I took this one specific medicine for so long that I don't want to. I always wanted to say that my body got used to it, so it stopped accepting it, because it kind of got to where it's like I'm taking the medicine, but I feel worse than when I didn't take it when I was so little, because like I experienced really bad migraines. Like that was always a inclination that I had it. Even at 7, 8, and like 3rd, 4th grade, I would have to go home early because I had super bad migraines. I couldn't open my eyes. When my mom had to come in the classroom and guide me outside because I couldn't open my eyes. My head hurt that bad. I was always in the emergency room. It's a funny story because I had to go to the emergency room on Christmas because I had a really bad migraine, and going to the emergency room on Christmas was kind of funny because they had Christmas movies on and they had lights, but it was also very sad because I'm like, I want to go home. Janae came with me too. Janae's my twin sister. I said that earlier, but she came with me and she was like, why we gotta be here with Jada on Christmas? Why can't we be at home? And I was like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen. And you see my mom like, Janae, be quiet. Your sister's sick. Help her feel better and all that stuff. So yeah, it's been a journey. It's been a longer journey. Having it since I was so young, I guess you could say I'm used to it. I mean, it's kind of annoying now, but I can take a lot more of the headaches that I get. They aren't as bad. This new medicine I'm on, I think it's working really well for me. It doesn't make me feel as like sick as I did when I got used to my old one. So yeah, it's been a really weird journey, especially going through school with it, because you know how you take like a gym class in school and all that stuff, and I don't want to say most people thought I was using it as an excuse for the stuff I couldn't do, because a lot of the times my headaches would get triggered if I moved too fast. So the running and the sports we had to play in gym, a lot of the times I would have to take breaks a lot on because I couldn't physically do it because my head would start hurting. And everybody knows when you get a headache, a lot of other symptoms come. Your stomach start hurting, your eyes get blurry. I wear glasses, so my eyes would get blurry, and I had to go in a dark room and just like sit down for a second. And even the teachers, they didn't really like express gratitude or express concern, because they were like, well, you need to do this for a grade, so it's either you do this or you're going to fail my class. And it's not even like, well, I wasn't even like a big fan of gym, but I was like, hey, I'll do it, I need the grade. It was I physically couldn't. So when I kept telling them, hey, yo, I can't do this, they're like, well, did you take your medicine? I'm like, yes, but I can't take it again. I can't do this. They're like, well, you're just going to get a 0 for the day. Let's try again when you come back tomorrow. Hopefully you feel better. And it's like, all right, bro. All right. Like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, bro. Like, so yeah, I definitely say it hasn't been the easiest journey, but it's, I'm more used to it now. More people are getting the idea of what high blood pressure is, which I'm happy about. But I still feel like it's one of those things that isn't talked about enough, or isn't taken as serious, because you don't get a lot of presenting symptoms like a lot of other diseases or anything. So, but yeah.
When asking about this, it still shocks me to this day. Mind you, I've known you before we record this episode, but understanding the things you've gone through and the things I still haven't asked you about that you've gone through and persevered, it just makes me respect you so much more as a person, especially as a black person, especially as a black woman. So like, have you on my podcast, it's really an honor, just because you don't have to talk about these, you don't have to talk about these things, and the fact that you are so open to do so, it really means a lot. Do you remember what age you were when you were at the hospital and Janae asked you, why were we here on Christmas?
I don't remember my age. I wasn't young. I would say maybe 13. I mean, that's still kind of young, but it's like beginning teenagers, maybe 13, 14. And I kind of remember the day, because the day before on Christmas Eve, we were at my grandma's house. Then on Christmas, we opened the presents at my old house where we used to live. And then I think we went to my aunt's house, who lives downtown, right where my sister lives. Well, she didn't live there yet, but my aunt still lives downtown. She lived downtown when I went there. And my bulkload of my family was there, and it was going good for the first half of the night. And it's a kind of weird thing with high blood pressure, because you could be doing fine, or you could be feeling a little bad, and all of a sudden, it's like a switch turns to where you feel terrible. And that's what happened. I was sitting, I don't even remember what I was doing, but I was just, like, talking with, like, my cousins and Janae, and then the switch turned, and I was like, oh, I don't feel good. And I guess my mom could see it, because she was like, Jada, what's wrong? And I was like, I don't feel good at all. My head hurts. I can't do this no more, And she came to me and she was like, okay, let's try these home remedies because it's Christmas, to see if we can make you feel better. And I just have flashes, like, they talk about it now, it flashed, like, my aunts and uncles in the kitchen with me and my mom, and she's like, just take it, Jada, let's see if you feel better. And I'm like, no, please, I don't want to take it, please. And then she's like, we're going to have to go to the emergency room. And I was like, not on Christmas. We went to the emergency room on Christmas. And yeah, I can't remember my age, but I would say 13, maybe 11 to 13, I think. Because I wasn't like my age. Because if I went now, I'd be like, okay, Mom, let's go. But back then, I was like, I don't want to go. You know, I don't want to go to the doctor, the emergency room. Who goes to the emergency room on Christmas? Like, who does that? Like, you know?
Did the doctor say anything specific was wrong or what had triggered you not feeling well? Do you remember at all?
No, I mean, once you kind of tell the doctors you have high blood pressure, they're like, oh, okay. Because, you know, they take my blood pressure and it's like sky high. Usually when I go to the ER for it, my blood pressure is damn near close to 200, which is terrible. So they're like, thank you for coming in. You could have passed out somewhere. But the most that they do is kind of have you sit around and wait because a lot of the stuff they can't give you because it'll affect it more, which is terrible because it's like, you're supposed to have medicine to help me, but everything you would give to help me is going to make me feel worse. It will help me in the long run, but I got to get through having the most debilitating headache of my life. Or they'll give you like this strong-ass pain medication that I don't want to take because I'm like, oh, that's drugs. No, I don't want to take drugs, you know? So I
don't want to pop a perk at 11, bro?
No, bro. What? 11, bro? Do you hear yourself right now?
You could have made a sick rap song about that, bro.
Do you hear yourself right now?
Feature Future.
No, I think the most they gave me was like Motrin, and I laid down for like 3 hours.
Okay.
And I think I finally was able to like go to sleep, and then I woke up, and it was like half my head was still hurting. And then they gave me Motrin, and then it kind of like moved on from there. And they told my mom, yeah, you should start giving her over-the-counter Motrin if you could do it like every few hours to help ease the pain when she's out and stuff. Because, I mean, headaches in general are no fun, but having a headache plus having high blood pressure, it's like life compromising, if that makes sense. Because you can't do nothing. And not even to the sake of like, oh, even if you have a bad headache, you can still kind of push through it. You physically can't do nothing with a migraine. You can't move, you can't eat, you can't speak, you can't open your eyes. You kind of just have to sit there. Because every move you make, it's painful. Like, it's some of the worst pain I've ever experienced having a migraine. Thank God I haven't had one in a long time, but I remember the pain very vividly, you know? It was something I would get every other day. Which is shocking to hear from, like, an 11-year-old when I would go to the doctor and I say, yo, I have these bad headaches almost every day when I come home from school. What do, you know? And even it got to the point where Motrin and Advil and all that stuff wouldn't help me anymore. My body would stop accepting that medicine to help, and it's like it made the pain worse. So it was like, I'm not about to keep going to the ER because it's draining, you know, to hear them say, oh, just lay down and take Motrin every 6 hours. You'll be okay. Drink water, put a hot towel on your head. And yeah, that stuff helps for the moment. But when it fades and the hot towel isn't hot and I can't take no more Motrin for 2 hours, what am I supposed to do? You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Just for our listeners out there and for me to understand, too, what's a normal range of blood pressure and then what's your numbers, if you remember? Because I know I've asked you before and you say, like, it's in the 200, it's been to the 200s before and that's not normal, but do you know
that's
a normal range? Or
the 200s is definitely not... Okay, I'm still kind of learning a lot of this myself, especially learning what, like, the top and bottom numbers mean. When I say top and bottom numbers, I mean if you ever go to the doctor and they take your blood pressure, and you kind of look at the machine to see what's happening on there, you usually have a top number and a bottom number and then your heart rate. So your heart rate is obviously not supposed to go anywhere above, like, 95 to 100, because then your heart's being too fast. So they say, okay, are you nervous? Are you anxious? Because you're here at the doctor's, like, what's going on? Your bottom number usually isn't supposed to hit 100, but it's not supposed to go below, like, 60. Because if it goes below that, then you have low blood pressure. But if it hits 100, that's high blood pressure. Your top number isn't supposed to go nowhere near 200 because you can enter a hypertensive crisis. And that's where they say, okay, you need to go to the ER. We need to treat you because you could pass out. You're at risk for a heart attack, a stroke, a seizure, things of that nature. If that top number gets anywhere near 200, which is where mine usually are when I have to go to the ER. Now, with the new medicine I'm on, my top number is getting in the normal range. Like the last time I went, I think was like, 116? Which is the most fantastic I've ever seen my blood pressure since I've been diagnosed. Like 116, I was like, oh, I'll take it. Don't tell me anything else. She said 116. I said, I did it. We're making it, Joe. We did it, Joe. But yeah, in the past on my old medicine, my range they had to make a new chart for me, which was really weird. They're like, okay, this is our normal patient chart, but then here's Jada's chart when Jada comes in, so we don't freak out every time we see like 135 or 140. So my range would be anywhere from 120 to 145. If it hit 145, usually I got a little anxious because I was at the doctor's and I was like, oh, what are they going to tell me now? You know, stuff like that. But usually after I relax, it would hit 130, which isn't good, but it was where it would always stay. So then they made it good, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, to hear 116 from 130 is
phenomenal.
That's a blessing.
Yes, it is. I'm so thankful.
Speaking of blessing, I guess we could just tackle this real quickly. Are you religious at all?
Yes.
What religion do you follow and believe in, and who do you believe in as far as worship?
I believe in God.
The Lord.
L-O-R-D-T. Okay. Yes. You know, since we're getting into this conversation, I don't really like using the word. I don't really like saying, oh, I'm a Christian, or I'm non-denominational, or I follow this religion specifically, because in 2022, when you say those words, it almost strikes terror in some people, because they're like, oh God, this is how you act. Pun intended, oh God, this is how you act, this is how you're going to think of me, this is how you're going to breathe around me, like... Just don't even utter those words. So a lot of the times when they ask me, oh, do you believe in God? I'm like, yes, and I have a relationship with him. I wouldn't say I focus more so on the religion, because once you say that you are a Christian, they automatically put you in this bubble of people they dealt with. And it sucks to have them stereotype you so hard, because once they do that, it's like they have every right to attack you. But once you attack them, oh, now you're being mean. Mm-hmm. Oh, if God said this, then why are you acting this way to me? Or if God said you should love thy neighbor and this, that, and the third, why are you hating on me right now? Mm-hmm. But you said 6 jabs at me all because I said I believed in God, and that's all I said. You know, so I would definitely say I have a relationship with God, and I believe in the Lord Jesus. Mm-hmm. Indeed, yeah.
I feel very similarly. If you're familiar with my catalog at all in the podcast, I've talked about this multiple times because I've had to grow up around Christians who are homophobic. And that makes no sense, literally, from what the Bible says. Now, the Bible, it goes, some people have different opinions about it, but the Bible, quotations around this, condemns being a part of the LGBT community. But it doesn't, we're not God. So I've always had the stance of, even if members of the LGBTQIA plus community, make sure I say the whole acronym, if people are part of that community, we have no right to judge them. We are not God. But I definitely understand what you mean of still believing in God, just not putting that label, because it creates a sense of animosity once you put that out there that I'm a Christian, and then people would think like, oh, do you look at me this way? Do you hate me? Are you like everyone else? And that's not fair to stereotype, but from people's experiences, it's just human nature at this point. And I've also noticed when talking about religion and you talk about people bashing you for it when all you've said is you're Christian, I notice you're very outspoken, and you're a very outspoken woman in general, and you've told me that you weren't always like that, but you had to learn to be like that. And you've told me growing up in school, there were times where it wasn't the easiest growing up from being bullied, especially as a dark-skinned woman, and especially being a woman with the weight that she has. I've talked about this on my platform as well, that I know a lot of people who discredit dark-skinned women and plus-size women for absolutely no reason. So how was your experience growing up as a dark-skinned woman, as a plus-size woman? If correct me if I'm wrong, if that's not how you would want to be labeled weight-wise. Yeah. But how did it feel growing up like that, and then having to learn to be outspoken to be someone, to be a form of protection? So how was your experience with that?
I can definitely say, like the primary school years, so like even way back when to like kindergarten all the way up until 8th grade, I would classify that I was bullied. Now, of course, there's different ranges of bullying. My bullying never got physical. It was all just like verbal, emotional abuse that I got from people. And you know, the funny thing is, going to an all-black school my whole life, I experienced a lot of bullying about people's skin tones. But most people had the same dark skin tone. So talking about someone else's dark skin tone, it was kind of like they were talking about themselves. But everybody found it as a joke. Mm-hmm. And I was like, but we all black in here. What's going on? You know? And it was like, I mean, yeah, you know, you get a few Snickers. You know, I've Snickered sometimes because it would sometimes happen randomly, and I'm like, damn, you know? But when you sit back after it, I think about it sometimes, and I'm like, we were dumb as hell. Why were we laughing at that? Like, we was all black. Like, what are we talking about, you know? But yeah, so I would say I classified getting bullied all the way up to 8th grade, because once I got to high school, I was like, yeah, I don't give a fuck no more. Like, if you talk about me, I just don't care, bro. Like, you're talking to a wall at this point, you know? But I would definitely say I had to learn how to be outspoken, because if I didn't, then it would have never stopped, if that makes sense. I feel like if I didn't start speaking up for myself and talking back to those people, and I didn't more so talking back, just getting the response factor that they weren't expecting. Because growing up, I was a quiet kid, you know. I was the smart, quiet kid who took notes, who sat in the front, who just did her homework and didn't say nothing. I didn't say nothing at all. Unless you spoke to me first, then I would speak to you. I was very nice. I was very sweet. I was very compassionate. People called me a teacher's pet. If my sister was in here, she would yell teacher's pet to the gods. Because that's all she called me. And I mean, with due respect, I kind of was. But I did my work, you know. And, you know, people saw that and they took hold of it. Because they said, she's not going to talk back to us. We can do whatever we want to her. You know, and like I said, it never got physical, but words can hurt. And words can hurt a lot. And they hurt the most from people you see every day. I saw those kids every day up until we graduated. That same group of kids I graduated with, I've seen them since I was in kindergarten. And it hurt hearing them from them kids. Because I was like, we grew up together. We're damn near brothers and sisters. Like, we still talk to this day. But it's kind of like we got to a certain age in high school where they forgot they ever did that to me. So we walked in freshman year and they said, hey, Jada, you ready to do this? And I'm like, talking to me? We? Question mark, are ready to do this? What are you talking about? There is no we in this situation. You said, fuck me. And it's just me, myself, and I. You know what I mean? But no, they came in and they said, oh, yeah, we're going to be the best class in here. We're going to be together. We all cool with each other. We all talk to each other. We're going to sit each other, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, did y'all get a reality check? Did y'all find God? Because y'all were not the same kids that was downing me in, like, 5th grade, you know? To come in this class where I have to act buddy-buddy with you. You know what I mean? Like, that's not going to fly, you know? But, yeah, they found... I don't know, if you ask me, I don't know why I got bullied. Like I said, I was a quiet kid, but I guess they was finding anything and everything to talk to about anybody about. And like I said, we saw each other every day, so I couldn't really escape it. Because if I went to another class, 1, it would happen again. And 2, my school, if you went to DEPSA, you kind of stayed in DEPSA. So if you went to DEPSA, you didn't leave unless you just didn't go to our high school. So I was around those same 450, 500 kids every day. I knew everybody's name in my grade, and damn near everybody's name in every other grade. That's how we saw each other so much, and that's how once you were in there, you were in there. You know, you didn't transfer schools, you stayed all the way through. So knowing to each other that deep, like I knew these kids' mamas, these kids' daddies, who your sister is, who your auntie is. I saw it like they family. So you would think that stuff wouldn't happen, and how close we got, not unknowingly, because we were forced to by our school. But yeah, I mean, you know, like you said, and it wasn't even more such for me, my skin, because like I said, I found that stuff ridiculous, so I was like, hey, you're just stupid, bro. But as far as weight, I mean, you know, that was kind of the main factor that they could get, because talking about it now, there was nothing else they could say. I was smart. I had the highest grade in all my classes up until high school, you know, my darn friends who just had to beat me. I love y'all, though, but darn. Yeah, they couldn't talk about nothing else. I was smart, I was respectful, I was kind. Every time the principal came in, I got all the awards. I got all the ceremonial stuff.
As you said,
I was picked to represent my classes, and it was me. So they couldn't come about my smarts because I wasn't dumb. They couldn't come about nothing else because I had common sense. I had a brain. You know, I knew right from wrong. All they could come at was my weight, and that hurt me the most because it was something that I wasn't comfortable with yet, and they could see it because every time they would talk about it, it's not like I would respond, but my attitude would change, you know? Because if people pick out your insecurities enough, it's going to hit you. Whether you can say, oh, this don't faze me, or oh, talk about all you want, I don't care. If people say it so much in a day, it's going to hurt you. And it's going to start picking at your skin until you go home and you think about it yourself, which is what happened. I would go home every day, and I mean, I would cry, because, like, these kids were talking about me, and I had no choice but to go back at 6 a.m. and do it all over again, you know? But with that, I stuck through it all the way through to 8th grade. Then high school came, and 9th grade, I kind of wasn't as outspoken as I am now. I didn't really get this till 11th grade, and I really take into account a lot of the, like, friendship stuff I went through in high school. Especially because my friend group, you know, the classic, oh, you're not going to be with these friends when you're high school when you get to college. I didn't want to believe them when I hit 9th grade. They were true. I'm friends with some of the people that were in my friend group, the second friend group that formed. But the first one, they were correct. I don't talk to them no more. But I take credit getting my outspokenness from them. Because they were the outspoken people I looked up to. So when people would say stuff about me, they would defend me. You know, and I give all my props and all my thanks to them, because if I didn't have them, I don't know what would have happened to me. You know, that, I will say, school is a lot of the root of my anxiety, because it made me not like people, and it made me not want to be around people, and it made me not want to be in settings with people. So group projects were the bane of my existence. They still are. Talking to people was the bane of my existence, and being in a setting where you couldn't do nothing but talk to people hurt me. So I said, we need to go to online school. Like, I remember coming to my mom, I was like, can't you just homeschool me? Like, can we cut this short? I'll just sit in a room with Janae. Like, you know, we cool, we buddy. I'll just sit with my sister. You could teach us, you know, math, science, you know, the basics. And, you know, she couldn't do it. She worked a full-time job damn near. Well, no, she did work a full-time job. She didn't get off till like 6 o'clock sometimes. So she had no time to homeschool us. And, you know, my older sister at this time, she was off at Michigan State when she was doing her college career. So she couldn't do it. She wasn't at home. You know, so I kind of was stuck in a hard place because I had no choice. And I knew I just had to stick it through to the end. But to tie it back to where I got the outspokenness from, I do take it to those friends that I had, because they were still dealing with their stuff, but they didn't let nobody say nothing about them without clapping back. You know the term clap back. They really clapped back. Like, some of it was hilarious. I was like, wow, you really gonna let him take you like that? Me personally, you know? All that stuff. But I got it from them, and it took us not becoming friends no more over the dumbest reason ever to gain my outspokenness, because it was a moment where I couldn't just say, all right, peace, you know? Because they created a narrative about me that wasn't true. And if you know anything about me now, I'm all about holding my narrative. If you're saying something that's not true about me, that's not going to fly. You can call me all types of names. You can say, oh, she do this, that, and the third. No, I'm like, oh, whatever, fuck you, bro. Like, I don't care. But what you're not going to say is you're not going to go to people and say I'm this terrible person, because that's not me. I'm not a terrible person. And that's basically what these people were trying to do in high school. We were online. This was during COVID. So I had to figure out doing all this friend group changing and figuring out who really was my friend and who really was there for me in high school, which it brought out my outspokenness because I had no choice. These two people who were defending me and were being those outspoken people for me came at me. So I had no choice but to bring up that part that I didn't know I had to clash back at them. And that's the part they weren't ready for, because once I did that, it's over with. It never went back in. So that's where I am now, you know? And sometimes with outspokenness, or if you say, oh, you're blunt, people take it as you're like an asshole or you're a mean person. I don't see you being an asshole if you're defending yourself. If you come at me being an asshole, I'm going to be one right back, you know? Like people say, give everyone the respect that you want to be given. If you come at me with disrespect, I'm going to respect you back for the one time and then you do it again. Now I'm going to disrespect you. No, if you come at me with an attitude, you get an attitude right back. And now if I could go back in time and tell little old me, be like, hey, shut that shit down, you know, like, cut that out, you know, don't let them do that to you, homegirl. You know, I'd be unstoppable as a kid, you know, but trying to be the little old sweet, give everybody a chance, me couldn't handle that back then. And even high school freshman me couldn't handle that now. But going through that friendship, monogamy, whatever thing I went through, it brought that out. And then, you know, being around people who really cared about me, like the three friends that stuck through all that, and they meeting my boyfriend in 11th grade, it really gave me the people that I needed to see every day to make sure that I wasn't the one in the wrong. So I would always come to them, I say, well, did I do the wrong thing? Was it really me? And they were like, no, they did the wrong thing, because they made an assumption about you that wasn't true without coming to you. How you going to make an assumption about somebody and not ask them about the assumption? You know, that was basically the root of it all. They made me out to be this monster that I wasn't, but then got mad when I asked them, why didn't you come talk to me? I'm not a mean person. If you come talk to me and say, hey, Jada, I have a conversation for you, you know this. We talk. We have talks all the time. This is one of the few times we're recording our talks. But I'm not a mean person. And I don't take what people tell me lightly, especially if it's about me. I want to change myself and I want to fix myself to be the best person that I can for anyone that meets me. But they didn't do that, and they held on to it for months until they couldn't hold on to it no more, then blew up at me and expected me to be shy and nice back to them. No, I blew right back up at them. Because you can't yell at me and I'm not going to yell back. Who does that? Get a load of these people. Who does that? Who, not me? And they wasn't expecting, they didn't like that. So they said, all right, skip you. I said, skip you too. I didn't need you. I wanted you because you were fun and we were really close friends, but I don't need you. Come on. Like, I don't need you. So, yeah.
And one of the many things about being a good person is having a good heart. And you've mentioned that one of the friends in particular that you had a disagreement with, you're still friends to them to this day. You're still close to them. And it reminded me, I talked about this in a previous episode, of hearing certain things from people like, oh, you this and you that, but then them turning around and pretty much saying the opposite. Like, you're a really good person. I shouldn't have said that to you, and I'm sorry. How was it getting those kind of back and forth statements of getting in arguments with people and then realizing that they're genuinely apologetic for the things that they have done and accepting them back in their life? How was having that forgiveness be a part of who you are and keeping those relationships intact?
Yeah, I definitely say that it was hard. Forgiving anybody is hard, no matter what you do, especially if it really hurts you. Forgiveness is something that people, one, don't know how to do, and if they know how to do, they just don't want to do it because they're like, no, you hurt me. You're going to know that you hurt me forever, But I really believe that forgiveness is going to help you better than them. So if you tell them, I forgive you, it's going to lift that weight off of you. Because it's like holding a grudge. I don't hold grudges. I feel like they're very time-consuming and they're very time-wasting. I don't hold a grudge to the people that hurt me in the past. I really could if I wanted to, and I really could have hurt them back if I wanted to, but I didn't. That would have been more energy on my part, and I would have been feeling way worse than I was, so I just left it alone.
Sound like somebody I know.
Sound like somebody I know. But yeah, as far as, I have two experiences kind of with that. So my first friend, my boy best friend, who's still my best friend now, but he goes to a way different school in Oklahoma. I miss you, dog, if you ever listen to this randomly. Yeah, in high school, you get peer pressured and you get consumed by the people you hang around and you start to act like them unknowingly. He started to act like them unknowingly for the sake of them still wanting to be his friend, because if he knew if he didn't act like them, they wouldn't be friends no more. And at the time, he couldn't accept that because he would have been truly alone, which a lot of people can't handle being alone. So they do what they need to do to keep the people by them even if they don't need them anymore. So he did that, and then the result of doing that hurt me in the process. So I said, okay, you can't be around the people and be around me. It's not going to work. We're not cool, and I'm not going to sit in the same room with them and have them do their side comments of what they do. I could care less about it, but I'd rather not be in that space and waste my energy for it. So it just came to a time where over the summer, he just came to me very sincerely, and I understand, like I said, people get transformed and they change even if they don't know. But I'm all about, which kind of sucks because some people really don't deserve it, but I'm all about giving people a second chance. Even if you show me that you deserve it. And with his case in particular, he really came to me and he said, I know you're a valuable person and I don't want to lose you. And I want you here in my life for all time. I don't want to lose you. And I don't want to lose you over these people that just left my life. I can't handle losing you. So he said, I'm sorry, I did all this, that, and the third, especially with him, we grew up together. I've known him since I was like in 4th grade because his mom taught at my school. She was the second grade teacher, second grade teacher, I can't remember. Janae had her. So I always knew of him, but I never met him till 8th grade. And then we became friends in 8th grade. Long history with that, and then we became best friends high school years. So I was like, okay, I can't throw away everything I've been through with you over them, because it wasn't even you to begin with, it was them. So I said, I want to keep you around, bro. You're a really good friend. We had some fun times together, our little trips and whatnot. So yeah, I forgive you, And like I said, I'm not a mean person. It may take me a minute to forgive you, but at the end of the day, if you come to me with sincerity, which a lot of people don't come with, let's come with, hey, bro, I ain't mean to do that for real, Brewski. Like, we cool? No, we're not cool, bro. If you come to me really sincere, like you're genuinely hurt by the outcome, then yes, I forgive you. And I forgave him, and we've been best friends ever since that moment. He don't act like he don't want to answer the phone, but that's another story. My second situation is a little unique, because this altercation we had, which is my wife, Jasmine, who you've met, I love you if you listen to this. We had a situation, we were really young in the 8th grade. We kind of went back and forth because the two people I just talked about interfered with our relationship, because it's kind of like they came in and broke everybody away. because of them. So when everybody broke away, everybody chose sides, and we didn't choose the same side, if that makes sense. So we would kind of go to school and it'd be like, hey, we talking all that stuff and laugh, but we text and we'd be in this big old group chat like, oh, you're fake, you do this, that, and the third, you don't follow me, you don't sit next to me at lunch, you don't do all that. Too much stuff you're supposed to do in 8th grade. I'm like, what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
So then I traveled into 9th and 10th grade where she sent me and one of my close friends, Megan, this really long message. I can't even remember what the message is, but it was this really long message about how she came to terms that we were going to be the best she was going to get and that she should just accept who we are for who we are because we're not going to change, even if we aren't as mature as she is or on her same level of maturity. So we should just accept that. And I was like, no, we don't have to accept that. You want to know why? Boop, because we're done. That's it. We're done. So, yeah, after that, we didn't talk for like a year and a half, which is the longest I've ever gone without talking to her. But, like I said, it took her coming back to me on the first day of 11th grade in our English class, and I'll never forget this day, because it was very important to my day, because it showed how people can really mean what they say, because they showed it, It wasn't like she said, oh, I must make it up to you, and then she never showed it again. Like, she showed it. She came to me and she said, Jada, I'm sorry. I took the whole summer to think about what I did, and it hurt me not having you with me anymore, so I'm sorry. Can we start our friendship over? And I was like, started over a long time, 8th grade. About to graduate, but I was like, yeah, we good, because I've never had somebody come say I'm sorry to me. It always took me going to them to say I'm sorry to build everything back together, which is why me and those two people fell apart. It always took me going to them to rebuild what we had, but they could never come to me and be the man up or the woman up and just man up for what they did, because they were in the wrong. They tried to put the wrong on me and make me say I'm sorry. But when I said, no, boo-boo, I'm not saying I'm sorry, it was all my fault now, because I won't apologize. When they needed to do the apologizing. She realized she needed to do the apologizing and apologized. And I was like, are you serious, bro? Like, of course I forgive you, Buki. Like, come on, let's do this friendship over again. And yeah, ever since 11th grade, we've been the closest ever. I call her my wife because I really do love her. I love her like a sister. And yeah.
And that's an amazing best friend to come and rekindle that relationship and get it back, even knowing that you were in the wrong. I made an episode about this previously about people. The question was, can people change? And me and the people I reached out to for this episode agreed that people can change, but people have to want to change. So the fact that she wanted that relationship to maintain and she wanted to do better and came to you and apologized, you don't get that in everybody. And speaking from someone who's also met her and seeing the genuine connection, it's incredible. So the fact that even though that thing happened, you both were able to realize that it is high school, like we're like 16, it is what it is, and we can grow up and be together and have this relationship is phenomenal. And that was during a time where COVID was on the horizon and we didn't even know it. So how did you two specifically maintain your relationship after just getting it back and then now COVID happened and you probably didn't see her as much?
Yeah, so this goes for her and then all of my like high school friends, even my relationship, It was a turn because we literally had planned to hang out like the weekend that everybody was like, nope, you got to shut down. So then we were texting each other like, hey, yo, did you stock up? The apocalypse is upon us, like joking, because we didn't know what the hell the world was getting into. Versus we was like a month in and we was like, yo, get me out this house.
Like, it was really crazy.
Like, no, like, it was like for real. Like, y'all, we went through some movie type stuff, bro. Like, you don't see this every day, bro. So it definitely took a turn, but I love the friends that I met in high school, and I love them to this day because we talked damn near every day. We texted each other. We didn't see each other every day, but we called each other when we could. We did homework over the phone together. We was up late at night on the phone just laughing about nothing at all at 2 a.m. So we kept it there because we wanted to stay in contact with each other. We didn't want to hit each other up every 2 weeks like, hey, how's life? We knew what was going on in life even if we didn't see each other. And throughout that, when COVID started to be on the mends, that's when we started coming back around each other. We go over each other's house and play games and just spend the night at each other's houses. So we really both made the effort to not lose anybody in the group, specifically me and her. We both made the effort to not lose each other because we knew what that felt like before. And we definitely didn't want to go through it again during a pandemic where we really can't see each other. So we made the conscious effort to stay in contact. Even if we were going through a problem, talk about it over the phone. Because you can still get the same solutions over the phone. You just got to talk to me. You know, you just got to talk to each other. So we made that conscious effort, even if it was every day. You know, we didn't texting every day. That's kind of extravagant. But even when it was every other day, if we said, hey, once you get on this homework, slide me the homework right quick. You know, stuff like that where it was joking, but it showed we still wanted to check up on each other, you know. And when she still came to me with everything she was dealing with, even if it was at 3 a.m. and I was like, huh? Yeah, I got you, bro. You know, I did the same thing. She was half asleep on the phone, and I'm just talking her ear off. But you know, we were there for each other. You know, and that's the parts that I always keep in my heart, because you don't get a lot of people that do that for you or do it with you. So I really appreciate her and all my friends for that.
And I can share that same sentiment, because you mentioned earlier how we met, and we can transition into that now. But just meeting someone like you who was very similar to me, and being able to find someone in my life that I can go to whenever I'm going through something, or share a laugh with for hours. We've literally stayed up till 6 a.m. talking while Janae looking at us very annoyed. I gotta work. Did she?
You gotta sleep?
I don't remember she had to work or go to class, but she looking at both of us like, okay, y'all go keep going, and we kept going. And having this connection with you is incredible. And I want to ask, well, one, for you to tell the story of how we met, 'cause it's very random, but two, and I've asked her this multiple times, but how did I make the impact I had on your life for you to look at me the way you do? And it's not like as an ego boost, but just you talk about the people that you are friends with, and these were relationships you built over years. And when from the moment we've met, we've had a connection that I've told you and I've told Janae that you remind me a lot of myself, but you also fill in this void of my sister, because with being in school, I haven't been around her as much, and meeting you, it feels like I have my sister back. I've told you this. So how did we connect so good, and how do we get to the point now we're recording our podcast episode?
Well, we're on the same podcast, and we're about to be on another podcast.
Yeah, we got news coming.
Big news. But yeah, you know, first of all, let's get into the story. So I met this dude. Me, Shakira, her roommate, and Janae was just coming back from seeing The Woman King when it came out. Fantastic movie. Viola Davis, phenomenal. So we're going to the dining hall. We're like, hey, we're a little hungry, but we mainly wanted ice cream. So we went to the dining hall to get ice cream, and Brody was the closest to where we were. So we went up there, and, you know, we scanned our ID, whoop-de-whoop. I'm not even looking up. I'm texting somebody on my phone, and, you know, we're just walking. I get, like, a spoon of the silverware stuff we have, and I hear Shakira go, hey, Anthony. And I'm like, hey, who? And then it's this guy with a hat on and a matching fit from his hat to his shoes walking up to us like, what's up, Shakira? How you been? And she like, good, how are you? And I'm like, one, I said, oh, he's black. That's for starters. I said, he's black. We found another one. Because, y'all, we go to a PWI. It's hard out here.
Yeah,
you know?
very.
When you find a black person, you get excited. It's that bad. I saw a black person. I said, ooh. At Brody? My God. Then he said he's a journalism major. I said, really? That was it from there. He said journalist. I have yet to meet a really, like, guy in journalism who really wants to do it that's black. So I met you, and I was like, are you dead ass, bro? Like, for real? So I was like, oh, we did a little high five thing. I was like, yeah, he goated, bro. He goated. He getting clutch, bro. He clutch. So we sit down, and here's where the story gets tricky, y'all, because he wanted my sister, bro. So we sit down, bro. He takes Shakira like, hey, yo, give me the plug with the short one with the blue hair.
Bro, short one with the blue. The thing is, though, they both have blue in. So I tried to be very specific. I'm like, listen, the short one, blue hair. She had on a blue outfit.
And that's all he said, because he said that's all I remember.
Try to remember my artist, bro.
So we sit there, and I'm like, because I was trying to figure out who you were talking about, because I'm like, blue hair. Light skin, short. Who are you talking to? And then you said the glasses, and I was like, he talking about my sister. Janae.
Which I still got the glasses wrong. They're gold, but I thought they were silver.
Yeah,
so
they're gold.
I thank God that Shakira got the right one. Because you're in a relationship. We'll definitely get to that later. And then her roommate, I wasn't talking about her roommate. Obviously, Shakira's in a relationship, but I've known her for years. So I was talking about Janae. And I'm glad that it went well.
Yeah, because she had read it, and she was like, he want to talk to you, Janae. And I was like, oh, he want to talk to Janae. So, you know, we stalked. You know, we tried to stalk his snap and all that good stuff, as you should do before you meet any guy, you know. So I'm like, okay, he valid. I already liked her from the journalism thing, so I was like, yeah, go ahead. Talk to him. Then he hit her with the hi, beautiful, with a heart. And I was like, yeah.
And her classic response of,
hi. That's all she said. I was like, Janae, you're just not going to let this dude come to you with a heart and beautiful and just be like, hi. No! We gotta pick up the pace. You know, she had to get the feel. You know what I'm saying? When she felt you, bro, she felt you. It was on and popping.
When
from
she
there.
felt for me, she felt for me. You feel me?
Okay. That's to where they are now.
And yeah, we're going on 2 months strong, going on 3 months. December 21st will be 3 months. But as amazing as she is, as Janae is, I have to thank a lot of our relationship to the person I'm talking to right now, her sister. Because as a twin, they obviously have a close relationship, and she really believed in me as a person and believed in us and our relationship. And she made it clear to Janae and to like her mom that I'm a really good guy. And she's told me that just between our relationship that she hasn't met a guy who just wanted to be friends with her and just have that connection. And that's why I'm asking her again to keep going. I'll let her keep going once I finish this little bit of, I made an impact that she saw. She saw I was a genuine person. And that's my biggest thing, that I want to have people recognize that I'm a very genuine person and I really care about the people in my life. So the fact that she saw that from the jump and she fought for me to have her sister and to allow me into their space, because she also invited me to their dorm to meet them and to just hang out with them, and we had conversations, and she really allowed me into her life and to her sister's life, and I'm so grateful for that. And again, I'm telling you, I'm so grateful for that, and I'll let you keep going. I just got to give you your flowers every bit, but yeah.
Yeah, so I knew you were a good guy. Like I said, we invited you over, and I'm very bad with first meeting people, so our first few conversations I don't remember. I just remember they were really good. Mm. He can hold, as you can see, he has a whole podcast. He can hold a very good conversation, which you don't meet in a lot of guys, because guys like to give you the shortest response that they can, and they be like, nah, I don't really care for real. And you can tell, but you can really tell that whatever was brought up, he was like, oh my gosh, I like that, and let me tell you why. And I was like, he's descriptive. He's a true journalist. He picked the right major, you know? And it was just times like that, and you could tell the way he treats my sister is top-notch, and from those first few interactions they've had, I could tell that it was from the heart, and it wasn't something he was trying to fake to just get a specific thing, because niggas is weird these days. Mm-hmm. But I could tell that, you know, the stuff that he was saying was really nice, and just hearing about his background and, you know, the stuff that he's grew up from, the stuff he came from just to be here, it was heartwarming, and it showed that he was a real person. So that's what I took from it. It showed that he wasn't saying that stuff to be like, yeah, but I'm the baddest out here, you know, skip all that, you know. He wasn't like I said, he didn't have an ego or nothing, you know. He's very humble. He's very, yeah, I came from that, but I'm trying to do this to be this, that, and the third to be better. And you can tell from how the way people talk, he has specific goals that he has. He's not trying to be out here like a bum, you know. He wanna work, you know. He wanna provide a substantial life for him and my sister, and that's just everything I could ask for with her, because she's been through some hell and back with these niggas, and to get him in this right moment where she was, you know, with her looking at my relationship, and, you know, her sometimes asking me, why can't I have what you got, you know, and me being the older twin and still trying to give you that reassurance, and even making me feel a little bit guilty, like, you know, Janae, your time is coming, you just have to wait, you know. That's kind of the most I could tell her, because I didn't know myself. You know, like I said, I don't have the timeline of life, you know, that's not my job, that's not my place. Mm-hmm. So the most I could tell her is, you know, keep your patience, it's coming for you. And the time that I could see the shift in her, because she finally was starting to take what I said, because she stopped worrying about it. You know, she just was going on about her life. She was working. She was doing her school life. The conversation barely came up anymore. And then you popped up. And she was like, is this what she was talking about? And I was like, yes, that's what I was talking about. You know, I had to rough him up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't in here that easily. Like, okay, y'all, I still had to give him my, you know, 1-2 jabs and all that stuff. But then he passed it. And I was like, okay, he ain't run away. You know what I'm saying? And then, yeah. But he's a really, I'm saying you, so directly to you, are a really good person. You have really good advice. You are just a phenomenal human being, and I say this all the time. I don't have a close relationships with the brothers I have, but you give me a brother relationship that I wish I had. You know, I thank you that I'm getting that now. You know, even with me seeing my brothers, we all have age gaps between us, so I don't get that feeling with them, and they're my actual brothers that I get with you. Granted, we're the same age, but us being through some of the most similar things, you know, and you coming over my apartment and us being with each other every day, it's solidifying it every day that I want you here for the long run. You know, this isn't for just to get me through college. No, this is a get me through college. We're about to live together. I want to see you and my sister together for the longest time possible. I want you with me, you know? We're supposed to do this life thing together. And I think we figured out that we can't do this life thing without each other. Because when it happened, we was like, oh no. Oh no.
Yeah.
This is not how this is supposed to go. And then we came back, and it was better than ever. So, yes, you are a fantastic person. I thank you. I want you to still be you, even besides everything you've been through. You stay you, because you are enough, and you are fantastic. And I know you probably going through one ear, and you want to everything I'm telling you. But, yes, I will tell you every day if I have to. I will. I've done that to some people before, and I'll tell you every day.
To give a visual of what we're doing right now, we're sitting on her bed and I'm making eye contact with her, looking through this, or looking at her while she's talking about this. And usually there's only very rare times where making eye contact is hard for me. And it was very hard to look at her and have her say that. Not because it was bad, just because I was talking about this earlier in earlier episodes and with Janae outside of the podcast, that it's really hard to hear those praises about me because I don't look at myself that highly due from the things I've went through and just from going through those things and hearing those from specific people that are supposed to tell you the good. Hearing the bad, it's forced me to look at myself in the darker lights instead of the brighter lights. So for her to say that multiple times, I won't ever get tired of it, and I really appreciate you as well. And yeah, it's like I lose my words because it's like it get me choked up. Like I want to cry, but I appreciate her so much for that. And to stay on the positives, you've mentioned him quite a few times, alluded to him. You're in a relationship, and you've mentioned that you also were in a marching band. And
oh God, yes.
I want to combine these two things because they relate. But to start off, whichever one came first, I'm pretty sure you were in marching band first before you met your boyfriend, your current boyfriend. How did you learn that you liked playing instruments or you wanted to be a part of something of the marching band? And then once we get through that, then there's a very special man that we will have to talk about. But
yes. But to start off with my instrument, so I say play because if I could pick it up, I could still play it. I play clarinet, and I played it since I was in the 6th grade. I knew I couldn't draw. It was either you was in art or you was in band. My sister can draw phenomenally. Me personally, I can draw stick figures. That's as far as it went. So I said I could not be in this art class. I would fail. And it didn't give me nothing. But then there was band. And I was like, playing an instrument? I mean, I guess. I didn't know how easily it would come to me once I did it. But in the beginning, I was like, I guess I'll do it, you know. And they was like, oh, what instrument do you want to play? I was like, shit. Whatever the hell a clarinet is, I guess. And he was like, okay, cool. He wrote it down. He gave you a little slip to go to Marshall's Music. All those trips to Marshall's Music, get my damn instrument fixed. Or to get more reeds and stuff for a clarinet. So for a clarinet, you play it like with 2 hands. And it's a black instrument that's kind of really long. You play it with 2 hands like this. And yeah, it wasn't really no like coming to life moment with playing my instrument. I kind of have a choice. I couldn't draw. So I said, hey, let's play an instrument. But once I got into it and me and my class knew that we tried to put up a front like, oh, band was and all that. But we'd get into class and be like really excited to play our instruments. And we'd be really hurt when he'd be like, no, we're not playing today. We'd be like, bro, what? Can we play, please? We'll be quiet, please. Can we play? You know? And that kind of sparked my interest for marching band because the past marching band teacher, his name is Mr. Kennedy. He's now Dr. Kennedy. Came to my 8th grade class and he said, this is what you're going to expect when you come to high school. We going to be fun. We the biggest band out there. This. He spoke facts, bro. Now I know he was spitting true words, bro. I thought he was just, boosting our head up. My 9th grade band was really all that. Like with Mr. Kennedy, if you know Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Deontay Kennedy, let's specify, it was all that and then some, So he came to us and I was like, I guess I could do it. And my middle school band teacher would take us over to the high school to sit in on their practices. And, we met some of the people. I met some of the people in my section. Granted, my section leader name was Jada. So we both had the same name. So we were like, we need a nickname. If you know anything about marching band, we had crap names. Don't ask me what mine is. I really can't even remember if I told you. But if I remember it, I'm not saying it. Because it was something embarrassing. That's all I remember. But yeah, so then after that, I get in 9th grade, and I see him again, and he's like, I remember y'all. I came to y'all class. He was like, so y'all in marching band or no? And I was like, I guess. So then, the practices started, the initiation part. Wasn't initiation, but you start off as crabs in marching band. My high school marching band, I went to all black high school. We were trained and raised up like a college HBCU marching band. 9 times out of 10, we did those same workouts. We ran our track field twice. We ran around the building twice a day before practice. Push-ups, sit-ups, flutter kicks, lunges, whole workout routines we would do like 30 minutes before we did practice. And our practices were run like 3 to 4 hours. You know, marching band was extensive, but I found the love in it because it was something I could do, and I was one of the best music readers out there. Don't let nobody in that band tell you differently, okay? Because when we had tests and had to clap out the music, who got 100% every time? Me, okay? I could read music, and I wasn't dumb, and I could count. That's a whole other story, though. So I found that I had a love in what I could do, and I could do it really well, so I loved it. Now, marching band was hard. It was hard, and it was time-consuming. And a lot of the times I didn't like it because when you're a crab in marching band, and I don't know if you're familiar with the word like hazing. It was hazing, but they say it wasn't hazing, but it was all at the same time.
If you could explain what
so
that is.
Hazing is like if you're part of like a fraternity or sorority, it's kind of like the this is so dumb, but the beat you up phase before you like cross. Okay. Or get officially in the band. Mm-hmm. So we kind of had to go through. They was like, we all went through the crab beat you up phase. So y'all got to go through it before y'all can officially be a part of SOS. That was my band name. So going through that phase, it was kind of hard because mentally I wasn't really at the space that I wanted to be at. So hearing those comments that they say that will build you up, like I said, words hurt people. So even in the situation where you say this is supposed to make you stronger, it still hurt, you know. Mm-hmm. It helped me not show my emotions so easily because I couldn't. But I'll go home and I'm like, I'm about to quit this shit, bro. I can't do this no more. He yelling at me on purpose. Like, I can't do this no more, you know. But throughout all of that, I get to competition. I'm like, yeah, I want to do this because we win. I'm like, yeah, let's do this some more, you know. So that first year and a half of me being in that marching band, it was really, really fun. And it made me want to keep playing my instrument because I got a lot of good feedback from my instrument. I would perform for a lot of college people that would come in during that time, and I would get picked from like our whole 60 people band to play my instrument in front of everybody. The most nerve-wracking thing to do is to have the band director point at you and say go, but not tell you what to play. He would literally point at you and say go. You could play a scale, you could play a piece you knew, but once he said go, you just had to start playing. And if you squeak, Jesus Christ, if you messed up, he say nope and point somebody else to go. And I would get pointed at a lot, so I always would think of like the newest or hottest thing we was learning. I was like, all right, I know I got this in the bag, bro. Say me. Point at me. I got you. Point at me. Most of the time I just played scales because I was fumbling, but we're not gonna talk about that. But yeah, so that really made me like playing my clarinet more and more and more, and I did it like almost every day, so I got really good at it. But then he left my 10th grade year, and I was like, okay, this is fine. And we got another band director who they were really close friends at first, and then they had a falling out and then got back friends. But during the falling out was when he taught at my school, so it was really awkward because we wanted to play the same songs we knew the crowds knew, but he didn't because he was mad at him. So it was like some tomfoolery. Mm-hmm. So we was like, so he was trying to give us all these songs that we thought would be nice, but to be honest with you, he couldn't write music to begin with because we had to correct a lot of his stuff. Mm-hmm. We was like, yeah, that's not the chords you need, bro. And when I say chords, when you go into like band or like singing or opera, things like that, your ear trains, and it's not even like you're trying to do it. Your ear trains to find the pitches you need to play a song. Kind of like singing too. I know you sing. You know, give us a little 1 2 1 2. You know, your ear trains to find the pitches that you need in whatever you're doing. So my ear would train to hear the note that I needed to play, and if anything was off, I could point it out. So that's why a lot of times I can tune myself. If I have my instrument, I could do it because my ear is trained. It's going to be forever trained to find the right pitches and vocals that I need to make sure I'm matching with the rest of the band wherever I'm at, or matching with whoever I'm playing with. So a lot of times those notes would clash because he couldn't figure out the right pitches for everybody. Some of the brass would be okay, but then we'd get the woodwinds because he played trombone. He didn't play a woodwind instrument, which is what I did. So he would get to us and they would clash. So we would have to figure it out ourselves to figure out the right pitch so we didn't sound off. Because once we sound off, now it's our fault, but you wrote the music. What's going on, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's like, hey, big bro, you not writing this right. Then, you know, teacher in charge, like, I know what I'm writing. I'm like, play it. He played it. He like, you right. I'm like, yeah, I know I'm right, bro. Anywho, he left. My school, yes, you see the trend. My school can't keep a teacher. That was kind of the running joke from DEPSA to ECE. We could not keep teachers. They left after like a year and a half. I don't blame them, you know? But yeah, I was not going to any other school. So I stuck through it. But yeah. And then my last band directors I had before I left was actually my middle school band teacher. He came to the high school and he wanted to be the band director. And I was like, oh my God, hey. And then somebody else from a school in like our paradigm came. Because my principal ran a whole bunch of other schools. So we were called the New Paradigm. He ran DEPSA, ECE, Loving, and a few other schools in that little area. Mm-hmm. So we would have a paradigm. So he ran all those schools, and we would have teachers from those schools come and basically be DEPSA's band director and like multiple schools' band directors. So that's really where my love for marching band came back to. Because once I started playing for him again and I knew him so well because he was my middle school teacher, it brought back the love that I needed. And it brought back some of the people who had stopped playing the instrument and only played it because he came back. So we was like, this was fun. We should do it again, you know? Let's create the marching band we had until, unfortunately, COVID happened. Now, in this marching band, it's where the man of the hour we're going to talk about, he came
finally got into the moment. Mr. Stevie Clark.
Yeah.
There's an interesting story how your twin sister also introduced him to you. So let's start from the beginning and let's get to however long you want to get to because you guys have been together for 3 years now.
3 years.
So let's start from the beginning.
The beginning. Okay, so way before we and him met, he was a new kid to our school. And if you ever went to DEPSA or ECE, you know we don't get a lot of new kids. I don't know why there's a wait list for my school. Don't go there. My bad, bro. My bad. There's a wait list for our school. So if you got into, like, the new school year, it was, like, really shocking. Because we didn't get a lot of new kids. So I saw him in the hallway one day, and I was like, you don't look like the regular us. Where you come from? You know? And he was in one of Janae's classes. So Janae came home, and she was like, hey, we have a new kid at the school. His name's Stevie. He's in my college readiness class with Mr. Offerman. I love you, Mr. Offerman. So, yeah, he was... He said, she said, there's a new kid in our class named Stevie. And my mom, crazy stuff, was like, is he black or white? And she was like, what kind of name would be a white person with Stevie? And I'm like, right, Ma, you know, it's a black person. But I was like, we have a new kid. And something I never noticed until now, our lockers were damn near right next to each other, but we never spoke. So, you know, if you have lockers and you right next to someone, you be like, damn, today was hard, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. Well, his locker was like right here and mine was like 2 down. But we never spoke to each other. I saw him all the time. Well, not all the time. I saw him like a few times. We never spoke to each other. My friend was next to me, so I always spoke to her. But it's kind of weird to think that because when we got together, I was like, that's where your locker is? And he was like, yeah. I was like, mine is right here. He's like, you've been right there since the beginning of school year? I'm like, yes. Like, where have you been? So, flash forward, Janae and him meet, you know. They start talking in class. They sit next to each other and all that stuff. Then, what's the next part? Meeting him is really, I don't want to say a blur, but most of it I don't remember. If he was here, he would say I'd have a bad memory because apparently he remembers all of it. But going back into the past friend group I had, he met them and a few guys I knew. And one of the past people I was talking about was dating a guy he met. So then they met each other. And then I was standing outside and the girl was like, oh, this is my best friend Jada. And he claims I just waved and looked at him. But I don't think I did that. I think I said hi. But he was like, no, you didn't say nothing to me. I was like, no, I probably said hi. And then I figured out he was a marching band. I was like, what instrument do you play? He was like, I play trombone. I was like, you don't play trombone. Then he played a note. I was like, oh my God, you play trombone. Now, in our band, the clarinet sat right in front and the trombone sat behind. So he always sat behind me. So whenever we took a break, I would just like turn and talk to him. We got close really fast. Because usually with new kids, I don't want to, and I hate using this term with these kids, but usually with new kids, when new kids come, like the popular clique or the dumbasses, I call them dumbasses. The dumbasses would come and try to get the new kid to be like them, to be just dumb, like, you know, go with their bullshit. So I was like, not you, no. I was like, especially you friends with my sister, not you, you know. So like I said, we saw each other every day after school from like 4:30 to 6 or 7. Band practice was long as usual. So I always turn around and talk to him, you know, catch up. I'm like, what school did you come from? He said, I came from Renaissance. I said, oh, no. Renaissance. Ooh, shudders in my spine. He'd be like, bro, don't do that. I'm like, I'm doing that, okay? So all that happened. And then leading up to the moments before we kind of got together, we got really close. So, like, he kind of, like, became one of my closest friends really fast. You know, I guess I liked him for a little bit when I met him. I was like, oh, he's cute, very cute, you know? But the funny thing is, I didn't tell nobody that I liked him. You know, I kept it to myself. I was like, nah, you right here, bro. You keep to me. So, he was leaving earlier than I did, and it was just me and a couple of my friends. And I said, "Oh, let me put my number in your phone so we can text." And he was like, "Put your number in my phone." I was like, "Yeah, give me your phone." So I was like, me being big dog, you know what I'm saying? When he slided these digits right quick, I was nervous. I thought he was gonna say no. He gave me the phone. He was like, put your number in. I was like, bet. I said, my number. Then I put my name, and then I put emojis by my name. And he ain't said nothing about the emojis. It was a heart and everything. I was like, he ain't say nothing. He looked at it and smiled and said, "I'll see you later." I was like, "Yes, sir." Then my friends looked at me like, "What was that about?" I said, "What you talking about?" You know, trying to blow it up. What you talking about, right? I didn't do that, bro. You know, we just talk, casual conversation. I can't put my number in his phone now. He can't text or nothing. Because he didn't really have, like, Snap or nothing, what people usually use back then. Like, he didn't make a new one yet. So he was like, "Okay, just give me your number." I was like, "Cool." You know, so after that, in the hug, what started me to text him, because I was like, I'm going to text him. If you play clarinet on the mouthpiece, you have a reed. That's the way you play your instrument. I looked at my reed, and I said, "It's chipped. How did my reed break? If your reed break, you can't play it." I said, "He chipped my reed when he hugged me." So the first ever text I sent him was, "You owe me a new reed." And he said, "Why?" And I said, "Because you chipped it when we hugged." And I said, "Oh." And I started texting him after that. I was like, "Okay, here's my name, what school you come from, all that good stuff, you know, just learning more about each other." And fast text back, bro. That's how I knew he was feeling me, you know? It wasn't the old 20 minutes later. Immediate text back, bro. The conversations were rapid, bro. You know what I'm saying? You know, I appreciated that. So I'm texting my other friends like, "What do I do? What do I do?" Then we get to, okay, this is how he claims he asked me out, but maybe I'm the dumb one, okay? Because we got to a conversation talking about our dating experience. So he said he's been in like 3 past relationships before me, and I've technically been in 1. So I said, "It's good you've been with people to gain the experience and know what you want. I need to be with someone who has more experience." He said, "This is going to come out really stupid." And I said, "I can kind of guess what you're about to say, but what is it?" He said, "What about me?" He claims that was him asking me out. I didn't get that part. So I said, "Oh, yeah, I didn't expect you to say that." So then a few days later, we're in that little talking stage that people say. But when I asked him, I didn't call him, I texted him, I was like, "So are we together?" He was like, "Yeah." And then a few weeks later, I was like, "How long we been together?" And he was like, "What you talking about?" I said, "Wait, when did you ask me out?" Because from my knowledge, I asked you out. Because I said, "Are we together?" He said, "No, I asked you out because I said, 'What about me?'" I said, "Oh." He said, "You didn't know that?" I said, "If I knew that, I wouldn't have asked you, doofus." So yeah. Then after that, that's why we claim November 6th. Because that's kind of around the time all of this happened. But we don't know the official day. But the 6th is the day that I asked him, "Are we together?" And he said, "Yeah." So that's why we just took that day. Because we was like, "Well, what day was that?" I don't know. So we just said, we'll just use November 6th. So yeah, flash forward all that fun stuff all the way to now. We hit 3 years. It's been a long time with this man, bruh. All right? Long time. But I wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world because I love him. All that good stuff.
And I want to give him flowers of my own, but right before I do that, I want to ask about a pretty important part of your relationship where he wasn't in state with you.
Ooh. Ooh.
And
Ooh.
the fact that you guys got through that, I've made it very clear to people who are close to me, like, I couldn't do long distance relationships because of the love that I have for people. I want to give it while I'm there. So how did you guys get through that, and how did it make you stronger than ever?
Oh, it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. Because I fell in love with him harder than I thought, but I tried to trick myself and say I wasn't. Because he said he loved me very fast. Like, if we claim we got together on the 6th, he said, "I love you" on, like, November 24th. Like, it was fast. I was like, "Whatever, bro. Hold on." And, you know, I was like, well, I think I love him, you know, but I didn't want to admit how hard I was falling in love with him because I was like, what if he leave me? You know, that's all I was used to. That's all I heard from the women in my family. That's what they're used to. So I said, well, it's bound to happen to me. Let me not show how deep in love I am with you yet until I prove that you're worthy of it, you know, which he was from the beginning. But with me and my, you know, bigger thoughts in this big old brain of mine, you know, I couldn't just accept it. I wanted to, but I couldn't. So it took us going through moments like that to realize how much he loved me and how much I loved him. Because he could have easily said, "Yeah, we're going to take a break and we're going to break up until I come back," but he didn't. He said, "No, we're still going to talk every day, and Okay, he went to Kentucky State University, which is in Kentucky, and he went on a band scholarship, meaning he was part of their marching band until he came back. Like I said, I was used to the life of an HBCU band, but being the girlfriend of someone who went there was a whole different protocol. Cause he would text me at 6 a.m. when he would wake up for practice, go to all his band stuff. He would call me around 3 when he had a few hour break. He'd take a nap, and I wouldn't hear back from him till like 2 a.m. That's when he would get back to the dorm, just for him to go right back to sleep and get back up and do it all over again for like weeks at a time. So it changed the dynamic because we would talk all day, every day. We went to the same high school together. We'd be on the phone. If we weren't on the phone, we were over each other's houses. If we weren't at each other's houses, we was grocery shopping with each other, parent, at the park, on dates, at the movies, you know. We were with each other every day. So to go from that, like when I say with each other every day, we was with in each other's face every day. Like, not, oh, I'm going to catch you later at like 5. No, like from the sun up to sundown, we were in each other's face every day. So to go from all of that physical interaction to virtual interaction, and the virtual interaction was limited to like 2 hours at max, because either I would wake up and he's already gone, or I would be going to sleep and he's just getting back. So it was a lot of push and pull, and I had to give up like a lot of sleep, which I would give up sleep, but I love my sleep. So it was just a hard adjustment, because on my end, I didn't feel like we were talking enough, and then on his end, he didn't feel like we were talking enough, but he couldn't really change nothing because he was on a scholarship, so he couldn't lose his scholarship. But I'm like, we about to lose this relationship, and neither of us want to do this, but it's pulling on both of us mentally, and we can't handle it at the moment. And then he catches COVID in Kentucky. He calls me one day, a few days before his official diagnosis, and he says, I really don't feel good. And I said, why? First of all, before all that, his band has had multiple emergency quarantines because of COVID splurges and outbreaks in the band. Crazy, right? So he calls me one day and he says, Lovely, we call each other Lovely. He says, Lovely, I don't feel really good. I said, oh no, what's wrong? Did you go to bed? He was like, well, I went to bed at 3 a.m. I was like, well, that's probably why you don't feel good. He was like, no, this isn't like that. I don't feel good. I was like, okay, what's wrong? He was giving me all of his like symptoms, and I was like, in my head, I was like, oh no, that's like COVID symptoms, and this is when the pandemic was still at its highest peak, so it wasn't gone. It was very much out there. They were just ignoring it, basically. And I was like, oh God, please don't tell me he got COVID. But I kind of knew he caught it because his mom called a few days before saying she got it. And before he left, we went to his open house where she thinks she might have been exposed, so she called us to make sure we were okay. So I said, your mama just left. If she got it, then you have it. But I didn't want to say that to him to freak him out, because he's freaking out because he's alone in a state he's only visited to but never lived in by himself. He doesn't have a roommate. He's in his room by himself. He's alone. So he's like, how am I going to do this alone, basically? Like, COVID, you have to be away for 2 weeks. How am I going to do this by myself? I can't get myself medicine. I can't get myself food. I'm broke. My band director is not listening to me. What am I supposed to do? So I said, okay. I DoorDashed him as much medicine to his dorm as I could. And I said, you're just going to tell them you can't go. But they basically made him go in person to tell him, and just look at him on the phone, he looked like really weak. If you know Stevie in person, he does not like to show you that he feels bad or weak. He will play that shit off to the T. Like, there's been moments where he has felt really bad, but you probably could not tell, because he plays that shit off really well. Because he doesn't like people feeling bad for him, and he doesn't want to not show up to his commitments. He's like that, like real bad. I'm like, bro, you feel sick, like stay back. He's like, no, I'm going to go and I'm going to tell my band director what I'm feeling like, and I think I may have COVID. I'm just going to get a COVID test to confirm it. It's probably negative, and it's just like the flu or something, What? The flu or something, So he does all that. He tells the band director, and then he goes to get his test, and it comes back positive. And I said, what did I tell you? What did I say? He was like, oh, yeah. But from the beginning of him feeling like, sick but not bad, to like the worst sick I've ever seen him was very scary. Because we were 12 hours away. There was nothing I could do for him. I couldn't be there with him. I couldn't give him medicine. I couldn't make sure he ate even if he couldn't stomach it. I couldn't make sure he had some water. I couldn't help him to the bathroom. I couldn't help him, like, get his shower stuff together or anything. We were hours away. So if something happened to him, I couldn't do anything. I felt helpless. That was the most helpless I've ever felt in my entire life. And it made me really sad to the point where I would not sleep when we were on the phone to make sure that he was breathing. Because if anybody has COVID, it messes with your respiratory system. So it's really hard to breathe. And he was having such trouble breathing, but he was by himself. But he had no energy to go get help from somebody. So I would sit there to make sure he was still breathing and I could hear him breathing. And if I didn't, I would like yell as loud as I could to wake him up to make sure he was still breathing again. And that was like some of the most traumatic stuff I've ever went through. And it's not even like I was there in person. But if I was there in person, I probably wouldn't have felt as bad because at least I was there with him, so he wasn't alone. He was in that room alone all day by himself. But thank God, his oldest brother lives all the way in Maryland. He drove all the way from Maryland to Kentucky, which is not a short drive. He drove straight from Maryland to Kentucky to go get him to bring him home. Which I thank God for Brandon, his older brother, every time. Because if it wasn't for Brandon, I don't know what would have happened to him. I honestly don't. I don't know how that story would have played out or how wrong it would have turned. But he drove all the way to Kentucky to go get his brother to take him home so he could basically work out the rest of COVID at home. And I was like, look, at least you won't be by yourself. You'll be at home what you're used to. I still couldn't go see you because at the time I was living with my sister who has 2 little kids. So I can't risk that transmission of getting that family sick because they already went through COVID when it first happened. I wouldn't put them through that again. So, at least even if I'm not with you, I know there's people with you that want to make you better. So you're getting the stuff that you need. You're not alone forced to do something because you want it for some money. Like, what? So yeah, but that story's not over there. Because there was another part of the story when he gets home.
This has been a very important reason why I've been quiet for this part, and it's because of this reason.
Yeah,
so
that story is not over. Because as happy as I am that he is now here with me, and he came back home to where he should have been to get better, I did not talk to him for almost 3 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks. That's because I got a text message from someone in his house that has said he is getting his phone taken away to make sure that he heals to the best of his ability. And they claim that talking to me and having any phone interaction would hinder that. So they took it away so that he could focus on getting as much rest and getting health 100% back to himself. And I did not talk to him for 2 weeks. The last message that I got from him before he left for 2 weeks was that they're trying to take my phone and I'm sitting in the chair. Like, it was really random. He said, I'm sitting in the chair and they're trying to take my phone. And I said, who? And there was nothing. It was radio silent for 2 weeks after that. Going from seeing how he was and how sick he was to not hearing if he was even okay on a day-to-day basis hurt me. Because it made me not okay. I got physically... I love this guy, y'all. Like, I got physically sick because I didn't know how sick he was. Like, we were sick together at that point. And I didn't have COVID. We were sick together. Mm-hmm. Like, it was days, like, I would just, like, go, like I said, I lived with my sister at the time. So as much as a strong face I want to put on for, like, my niece and my nephew, because they'd always ask me, Aunt Jay, what's wrong? I'm like, oh, I'm okay, baby. Don't worry about me, But my sister and my mom could see it because during that time, we had just recently lost my aunt who died of breast cancer during that time. So from knowing that your aunt died and you have to take an emergency trip to Georgia to go to her funeral, days before you move into college and your boyfriend has COVID and you can't talk to him, it was a disaster train. I was like prepared. Now I die. Like, this is the disaster train. Now I collapse because I can't take what's going on right now. My cousins are on the phone crying because their mom just died, and I can't even call my boyfriend to see if he's dying. Like, my brain was going to the worst of the worst. Because when you have COVID, during that first surge, most people didn't make it out. So my brain went to the worst. I have family members that have died of COVID. I know how hard it gets. My older sister had COVID, and I was scared for her life. And she wasn't even that sick. But even if you weren't that sick, it was still killing young adults. We were 18 at the time, about to turn 19, young adults. I was scared. I didn't know what was going to happen, and 2 weeks is a long time not to talk to the person you're in a relationship with under any circumstances. 2 weeks, we broken up. What are we not talking 2 weeks for? Mm-hmm. So to have all those major events happen at the same time, it taught me about balance. It taught me how to balance what was going on, because you can't handle everything at once, and that's what I was trying to do. I couldn't be there for everybody. I had to pick who I needed to be there the most for. College was coming, and I knew it was coming, but it was in the back of my head. My cousins had my mom, my grandma, who flew down there to be with them. They had people there for them. he had nobody for him because he couldn't talk to me. I was his person. I am his person. He's my person. I needed to figure out any route I could to make sure he was okay. Like I said, bring it back up to the brother. I found in my old images that he sent me his brother's phone number from like our prom night because his phone was dying. So he said, here's my brother's number in case he calls you. So I found the number and I was like, please God, let him have the same number. Please let him have the same number. So I texted him and he answered me. He was like, hey Jada, how are you? I've been meaning to talk to you, but Stevie doesn't remember your number by heart. And how does he not remember your number? I'm like, don't remember my number. That's besides the point. You know, I was like, oh, Brandon, thank you for getting back to me. You know, how is he? And he was like, he's good. You know, he's a little tired. We're getting him as much sunlight as we can. And he was giving me daily updates about him. And that was making me feel okay because he would always end his messages saying, Stevie says he loves you. He'll talk to you when he can, you know? Mm-hmm. He was giving messages like that reassured me that he was okay. All I needed to know is that he was breathing. That's all I needed to know. Mm-hmm. Once he said he's okay, I needed to know that breath was going through his lungs and that he was sitting up. He was looking around. He was moving. I just needed to know he was breathing. Okay. Mm-hmm. I didn't need to know if he was talking to people. I just needed to know he was breathing. And once I figured out he was breathing, I was breathing. Cause I didn't feel like I was breathing for about 2 months. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then yeah. Woo! The Kentucky story. Every time I say it brings back up the emotions I went through. Cause it was hard. Like. And I can't even find a bigger word from hard to describe it because it was challenging. It was difficult. You know, it was frustrating because there was so much I could do, but it felt like I needed to do more, and I physically had no way to do nothing. Because even with him still being in Michigan, I couldn't go see him. He had COVID, for crying out loud. You know, there were too many restraints in my way to make sure that he was okay. And it hurt me more knowing that we hit a point to where I did all I could do. I just have to wait it out. What do you mean I just have to wait it out? And even with him, we're the type of people that with each other, we're going to go to the ends of the earth for each other. I was ready to sacrifice my health. Like I said, I have high blood pressure. So if I got COVID, I was going to the hospital. I have a compromised immune system. My immune system would not be able to take that level of a disease or a virus in my body. But I was ready to risk that to make sure that he was okay. Like, I got a lot of love for this kid, bro. So to not be able to talk to him for those 2 weeks, it made my love deeper, stronger, but it fucked with my anxiety, bro. I had very bad anxiety from that moment, you know? And I feel like that's really another stem place of where it comes from, really. Because you never know, you know, people really take life for granted. And I honestly can say I borderline started to take him for granted. Because I was like, oh, he's here, he's never going to go away. But when you hit a moment when they almost go away, you're like, oh, you never want to hit that moment again. And I always fear for the day that if it happened again, I don't know if I could handle it. Because it was so much that I had to handle in that one moment. I'm like, every time he coughs, I'm like, you good, bro? Sneeze. You need some tissue? You know? You congest? Like, I'm congested, but skip me. Like, you sneeze, you're good, you're coughing. You need some medicine? Like, it got to that point. She gets annoyed with him. He's like, I'm fine, Jada. I'm like, no, you're not. Let me help you get better. Because I couldn't help him when he was really bad. So now I'm annoying him, making sure he's okay. I think that's all of it, yeah.
To give him his props would be a whole other separate podcast episode because he does so much for you and for your family. It allows me to see what a great man is outside of myself and outside of people like my dad. And there have been moments where I've seen how he's gone to the ends of the earth with you, for you. And to see that for you makes me so happy because you mentioned earlier that you don't have the best relationship with your brothers. And you've also mentioned to me that there have been multiple men in your life that have not given you the best example. And if you want to give detail with that, then you can. But to see you have a man in your life that does a lot for you, for your mother, for your sister, for me, it makes me very happy for you. And it's one of the main things I tell Janae on her end, because obviously she's your twin sister. She's seen you going through this and she's gone through her own things. So to be a man in her life that she can look to and say that you're a man I want to be with, it means a lot to me. I don't get used to hearing it because it means so much to me. So seeing that for you and Stevie, y'all relationship is phenomenal. And I wish y'all many more years. So
yeah, thank you so much. Let me tell you something. When you hit in year 1, it's like, okay. Because once you hit 6 months, you're like, I can make a year. Once you make a year, you're like, oh, I can make 2. Once you make 2, you like, this is for lifers, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're in this for life. But yeah, even like he said, he does a lot. Like, ever since he got his license, he's been up here back and forth, helping even down there when I'm not there. He helps my mom as much as he can, takes her sometimes to the grocery store because my mom got in a really bad car accident last year on my birthday. So now she doesn't have a car because it was damn near totaled. I thank God she's still here because she was kind of borderline really hurt after that. And, on my birthday, that was like, how am I my mom got in a car accident? Oh my God. Oh my God. Like, on my birthday, like, that was on my way to get me. So, I was feeling guilty. She got in a car accident up here to Lansing. I was like, you did that too, So, but then just to see him, like, take the initiative, like, no, I want to help you guys. I know your situation is not, the best right now, and your mom's way over here, and you're way over here. So if I can make some comfort in the middle and some space, I'll do that for you. And just everything that he's been trying to do for me, even with us being the hour distance we are now, I see him still borderline almost every weekend. He tries to fit his schedule around coming to see me to make sure that I know that he still wants to be with me, and he makes all those efforts to do so, and I couldn't have asked for somebody better to be with me. And like you said, I have not had the best relationships with men. I don't know what to expect in a relationship. The closest I have is my sister and my brother-in-law, who Wesley Brooks is phenomenal. He is the perfect match for Jazz. I hope they stay married for the long run. They are perfect for each other. They have my niece and my nephew. That is the family that I want to have and that I want to embody, because at the same time, is it healthy, but I also saw the bad in it, because I lived with them for a long time. So I saw, like, the little arguments they would have, and I saw the, okay, Jazz, whatever, okay, Wes, whatever. But then at the end of the day, when they both would come back and be like, I didn't mean it, I saw, like, the talks they would have and how they incorporate their kids to show them what a healthy relationship looks like through the ups and the downs. It's really nice to see, and especially with her being my older sister. I want so much for her, just as much she wants for us. Even if, even if I don't verbally say it to her as much as I should, which I try to do now, I want everything for her because she deserves her kudos. It was her and my mom when me and Janae was born. She was my mom's right-hand man because my dad was not in my life. Neither was hers for a good part of her childhood. So it was her and my mom tag teaming two little girls at the same time. And she was only 10 when we were born. So as much props I give my mother, I give to her, because she is my other mother. I call her mom number 2 for a reason. She is my mom. When my mom wasn't there, it was Jazz. When Jazz was there, it was my mom. It felt like my mom was there even when she wasn't there. It still feels like that. When they're both in the same room, I'm like, okay. Now it's everything on me. You're my sister. You forget that? She's like, yeah, but I gotta mother you a little bit. I was like, no, you don't. But yeah, I give them all those props. And to not have a stable male relationship before that, or even like a brotherly relationship, I was led in the dark when we first met, and I was kind of scared because all of my male experiences ended in trauma and ended bad, either bad for me or bad for the people that were around me, and it ended in fighting most likely, or it ended in ghosting, and we never talked to each other again for years until they popped back up randomly. So to have a man in here and stay with me 3 years, because I'm not easy to be with, I know that. But to stay and to continue to make the joint effort to just say, I want to do this forever. I want to be with you forever. Even if he doesn't say it, his actions show it, because his love language is physical touch. So even this hour is hurting him. He's like, when you coming home, I'm like, I just got back. Let me go through finals, But yeah, he's everything I wanted and everything I didn't expect. But that's a good thing. So yeah.
And it's so great to see, and I'm glad you brought up Jazz, or as I say, Jasmine. Hopefully she don't hear me call her a Jasmine, but you guys' older sister and your mom. They have been women who I've told you I look so highly of because of what they got through and how they raised you and Janae. And I guess to segue into one of the last questions I have for you, you've mentioned women in your life who you look up to and who you model yourself over. And you've mentioned a couple of them already in Jazz and your mom, but with them included, who are the women in your life that you look up to and are inspired by?
I would definitely say, in the highest regards, my mother. My mother, I tell her if I could be half the mother she was to us, I'm a good mother. Because I don't think I could embody as much stuff as she went through with us and still be sane, number one. And still and still having the determination to get like everything that she has right now, even if she doesn't think it's a lot. It's a huge jump from what we had when I was younger. Like my mom, with it just being us three for a long time when Jazz went to college, we struggled a lot. And to not have a man in the house, because you know how people say the man's like the head of the house, and they deal with all the money and all the the bills and all that, like the housey stuff, and the women, they say typically the women not supposed to do that, but she embodied mom and dad so easily. It wasn't hard for her. She never showed it was hard for her. I knew it was hard. Now I know it was hard because now she talks about how hard it was. But when we were younger, she really hid all her sad emotions because she never wanted to seem like we were the issue, which I kind of felt a lot with my dad when he was there. I felt a lot of times with me when my mom and him would get into disagreements and stuff, I felt it would all come back to us. But kids and parental arguments have nothing to do with the children. The children are innocent. The children don't make or break nothing that the parents go through. It's up to the adults because you're just a child. You have nothing to do with the adults argue about. And if they bring you up, then that's selfish. That's selfish on them because you're a child. You're innocent. But a lot of times, I feel like that card would try to get played and my mother would shut it down because she's like, they have nothing to do with this. Leave them alone. They're only like 10. What are they doing to us? We're adults. We're way older than them. We can make the decisions, not them. Leave them alone. So to go through that and all the breakup-ish she went through with my dad, and then to still come back and, be that strong face for me and Janae, I give her all the props, even if she sits there and says she doesn't deserve it, or she was like, oh, thank you, I know she doesn't accept all of them, but I really try to tell her, like, I'm very thankful to have you as a mother, because I don't think a lot of mothers have the qualities that you have. Like, you are a damn good mother. Even if you come to me and say you don't feel like you've done nothing, you've done everything. Like, you are the reason I go to this school. I don't pay nothing towards my tuition. I lost my honors college scholarship because I couldn't maintain to be in the college anymore. And I thought that was what was going to be the ticket for me leaving, because I thought adding me and Janae's tuition onto her would be too much, but she's handling it with such grace that it's like she's been paying my tuition all along. But she just started this semester, so she takes all of her problems with stride, and she says, you can't complain for too long, because complaining is going to get you nowhere. You got to get up, you got to keep going. So I give my mother all of the praises that I have to her, because she's the reason why my sister acts the way she does. But there was a woman before my mother that makes my mother the reason why she acts the way she does, and it's my grandmother. I love my grandma so much. People say me and her act just alike, and I see it a little bit now. I see that we act alike. I feel like we talk alike, too. I feel like we look alike, I feel like that's my girl, That's my girl, But, like I said, to make my mother the way she is, my grandmother helped that. Because she is the woman my mother is kind of times two, Because being from the generation she grew up in, she was born in the 60s, So she went through all of that history stuff of civil rights and segregation and growing up black, and really growing up black with all of that back in the day, harsh in the South, like, type stuff, to come back and, again, deal with men that weren't shit and left her with nothing, to have these 2 kids and still handled those 2 kids the best way she could when she literally had nothing to her name, and to still show them that you can still make a life for yourself throughout everything you have and what you don't have, and to see the way my mother grew up from that with such, dedication to making her mother's life better, to making our life better, it really shows me how to grow up as a woman, and to just go glide in the right footsteps, and like, not even depend on a man for nothing, because like I said, I love Stevie with all of my heart, but I don't need Stevie. I want Stevie. I have a want for Stevie. I want him around. I want to have children with him. I want to marry him, but I don't need him, because I can live on my own. I want him, though. The want is strong enough that I don't need him, and he doesn't need me. We both can interact with each other without being together. We don't need each other to survive or to be with each other. And that's a lot of things that people don't know how to grow with. They don't know how to grow just wanting each other. They think they need somebody to survive. You don't need anybody to survive. That want is what's going to give you that social and that physical interaction to let you know that you can still do it. But you don't need anybody to survive. The moment that you say, I need you, it's over, because you lost everybody yourself. And that was the hardest thing I feel like they had to learn, is to learn that they didn't need nobody to still do everything that they could for their family. So my mom, my grandma, and my older sister, and then even my twin sister, Janae, I give Janae all the props in the world. And she I know she really doesn't take it, but I always say that between me and her, she's definitely the more creative and outspoken ideas pair as far as the stuff she comes up with. Because the stuff that she would just bust in my room and say is so good and elaborate, but there's no way you thought of that in 5 minutes. Like, it's no way you saw a video and was like, Jada, we need to write this. Like, there's no way you do that. And I would say I'm more of the wordsy, like, number technology type, because I say, look, if you give me the idea, I'll put it together. You just figure out all the nicks and crannies of who we need to sign, and I'll do the paperwork. Like, we can make this work. But I don't have the creative genes that she got. I try. I really don't have the creativeness. I'm more, you give me the information, I can do work with it. But she comes up with stuff off of the top of her head, and I gotta give it to her, bro. Like, she's in the right film studies is her major. She's in the right field for herself, bro. Like, she's so creative, she's so dope, she's so coming into herself and who she wants to be. And now with you with her, it's a good light I'm seeing with her, and you know I'm happy for her. I've always been happy for her, but I'm really happy for her because I always told her college Janae is gonna be a badass Janae, and look at her, she's a badass Janae, and I'm happy. But yeah, the 4 most important women in my life as of right now. Of course, there's other people in my family that have influenced me and all that stuff, but those 4 have given me the courage to be who I am today. And I know if I called any one of them, they'd be ready for me to say, hey, I'm here, and yeah.
And I've given each one of them that you named their props, especially to Janae. We had a very long conversation on just how I look at the 4 of y'all with you, Janae, Jasmine, and your mom. I've literally to start with your mom, I've called her a superhero. And I hope she listens to this specific part of the podcast because 1, it's going to transition into y'all love for Marvel. But 2, just the type of woman she is, from my own perspective, not to get too much into detail, because again, I would never want to use my platform to expose anyone, but I haven't had the best relationship with women in my life. And to see the woman she is to you guys is phenomenal. The things she persevered through on her own, really only with her other daughter of Jasmine, is remarkable. It's something it's unheard of. It's unimaginable. And to see it be done as if it's careless and she doesn't think about it. Because this woman, she let me into her home. Jada mentioned earlier that I went to their apartment, but I wouldn't have got there if her mom didn't find it okay. And her mom did not have to do that. I've only been with Janae, Jada's sister, for a little over 2 months. And at that time, it was just reaching 2 months. And I'm a stranger to her. If she were to say I'm a stranger to her daughter, as much as that would hurt, I would understand because I haven't known her long enough as, let's say, Stevie known Jada. With all that being said, she let me into her home. She fed me. She got me food. She made sure I was okay. And I've only experienced that from my own mother. And seeing someone else, because seeing my mother and the things that she's gone through, she had my older sister at 19 and dropped out of school to make sure she raised my sister. And then they end up having me and raising me. And she was an example of a woman to where when she's doing the things that she needs to, she taking care of business. But I never really had that other example because I was in my own world. So getting outside of my own world and seeing a woman who took care of 3 kids with all the things she's been through, she's really a superhero. And it makes so much sense that she has the love for Marvel that she does and that her kids have the love for Marvel that they do because they're all walking superheroes. I told my girlfriend, Janae, that she is literally a walking genius. I mentioned in a previous episode that teaching is something that I really enjoy doing. Explaining things to people and having them get it, I really love that. I can say the simplest thing to Janae and she would get it in a heartbeat. She, like Jada says, she is so creative. She's so beautiful. I can go on for hours about her. I was about to say I can go on for hours about her, but I'll cut it short because that's my girlfriend and I'm obviously going to talk good about her. But to leave it off with Jasmine, the fact that she takes care of the kids with Wes, even with Wes being gone at times to do his job and making sure he takes care of them, to do it on her own just like her mom did, she is incredible. And the fact that she's a baker, she can bake, she takes care of 2 young kids, and she lives the life that she does, being another woman to look up to is just these are some of the most incredible women outside of the women in my life that I've ever met in my life. All of them. The one I'm talking to right now for this interview, her mom, her older sister, her twin sister. I cannot give these 4 women enough respect at all. There's no amount of love I can say I have for them that truly shows the appreciation and respect I have for them. And as I mentioned earlier, they have a really strong love for Marvel, and their favorite superhero is very interesting. It's a classic, but I would like her to explain, and then we'll almost be out of here.
Yes, if you know me and you know Marvel, Marvel is like my best friend. And me, Janae, Jazz, and my mama, favorites, well, not favorite, but if we count in the Avengers specifically, we will all say Iron Man. We are Team Iron Man. And if you're Team Captain America, you're fake. You're fake. You're a fraud. That's kind of all you are. Well, I mean, my mama's favorite is the Hulk. But if she has to pick between Iron Man and Cap, it's Iron Man all day. But like I said, if you pick Captain America, you're fraud. You're fraudulent. Fraud activities. Because what are you doing picking that man? Like, what? But yes, and now we're introducing him to Marvel, and it's great because now I get somebody new to talk to about versus people who know, and they be like, "That's not what happened. He don't know what happened."
Not at all.
I can say everything to him.
And it's really interesting because I've only seen, before meeting them, I only saw like Black Panther, Civil War, and like I think I've seen Ultron, but there's a lot I'm out of the loop with. And then they introduced me. They showed me the first Iron Man movie, pretty good movie, and then we also went to go see the newest Black Panther movie together, and I hadn't seen that much Marvel movies, so obviously this is going to be my pick for greatest Marvel movie of all time. But even they said this is the greatest Marvel movie of all time. Again, anyone listening to this, they can show me a better Marvel movie. Show me immediately. Because the emotion felt in Wakanda Forever. The acting, the music, the consequences that were actually had. I'm not going to spoil it just in case nobody hasn't seen it. But that movie was incredible. And I know we've been here for a minute. I really appreciate my guest being here, and I really appreciate anyone listening to this, but I just want to give her one more bit of props because she still didn't mention it before we leave. New York Times.
Oh!
I'm going to let her explain why I bring up the Times, and then we'll end it off with that.
Oh, yes. So, New York Times. So, over the summer of 2022, and, well, before we got let off for the summer, my student advisor, who is at the State News with my job, I was a copy editor at the time, transitioning to being copy chief for the summer, sent me an application, and it said the New York Times Corps program. And it's a program tailored to journalists of color who do not get who don't have the opportunities to get high recognition or the opportunities to get out there field experience and workshops. So it's dedicated to give us those skills and techniques needed from the people who physically work at the New York Times in real time. Real time, New York Times, a lot of times going on here. So I applied measly saying, I don't have that much experience. The most experience I had at the time was working for the State News, 1, and then 2, writing a little bit for my past honors college job I had since I was a part of it during that time. So I said, okay, I'll turn in my resume and I'll give it my best shot. I got accepted, but the funny thing about getting accepted, I couldn't tell nobody. I couldn't tell nobody I was in it till like September, and I knew in July. So I was hiding this for months until my mom saw an email pop up on my phone, and she was like, "Who is this?" I was like, "Don't tell nobody." She told people. Nah, I just couldn't, I didn't post. I was like, "Please don't post it. I cannot see them find this." And then they say, "You not in it no more. So please don't post it." So yeah, I told her it was over the moon. So now, of course, people know because the class is solidified. I am one of 20 people, and we are all people of color in this class. It's remote because we're from literally all over. I'm the only person from Michigan. Like, when I say we're all over, we're all over. Like, all different schools, all different nationalities, all different everything. It's beautiful to see people from all over who have the love and passion that I do, who are eager, who come in these workshops with the camera on Zoom. If you turn your camera on, I know you want to be here. Because I be turning my camera on because I want them to make sure I'm here for real. But they be on too. I'm like, we got the same mindset, y'all. We in this for real. And, we speak like we met, the managing editor of the New York Times, sports editor, the person who hired us, all these editors and positions, and they're doing things that I want to do. And I never thought I would have the opportunity to borderline work for the New York Times, let alone get the opportunity to visit in 2 years once I finish this program. it's a fantastic thing, and I'm so excited. I can't wait to go to New York when I finish up my 2 years. I can't wait to meet more people. I can't wait to continue meeting the people in this program. Like, and once I do it and the new class comes in, I'll get to teach the new class because I was part of the first class. There's a lot of benefits I get from doing it, and I just never thought I'd see my name with the New York Times. Like, Jada Vasser, New York Times. Not even Jada Vasser, Jada Chanel Vasser, my government name with the New York Times was a phenomenal thing to see. They gave me a little tote bag I got in here, but like, it was great. And we all got assigned with like a mentor, so it's like a mentor-mentee thing. And my person, his name is Troy Clausen. I hope I'm saying your last name right, big bro. I think it's Clausen. He works for the New York Times. He switched from the investigative beat to the educational beat, so he talks about a lot of the schools in New York. And he did a lot of coverage with schools and elections, and it's really cool talking to him. He's young, he's so down to earth, he's really reasonable, and any random question I have, I text him. He usually responds pretty fast, and he's just like, hey, Jada, calm down, you got it. And I'm like, I just needed you to say it, bro, I got you. And I can't wait till I can meet him in person. I'll be like, yo, that's you, bro. Like, we talked on Zoom for like 3 hours. Like, our first meet, we was on there for like 2.5 hours, just getting to know each other. And it's really cool. I'm meeting so many real-life connections with my journalism, and This is what I want to do. Everything I do solidifies that this is something that I want to do for the rest of my life. I cannot wait.
And I'm so happy to hear that. Every accomplishment you tell me, it brightens my mood so much because I see so much in you and Janae, but specifically you. And to see it come to life and to see you get your flowers for being as amazing you are, it means so much to me. And again, I want to thank you for giving me this time. I know you were tired. Made sure that you gave me the time. I made sure I wanted to do this interview because, as I'll tell your sister, who we had to kick out of the room, I also want to do this for the rest of my life. This, specifically podcasting, I live and breathe this. It's something that I always wanted to do, and now that I'm doing it, it makes me so happy. I would sacrifice food because, as I lied to my guests, I have not eaten that much and I do not feel that well. But I made sure I persevered through. I'm even taking time that I could be studying or doing anything to do this because we're going to be doing this for a job. And to end off with some good news, there is an opportunity that's going to be on the table that I'm going to try and take, and I'll let her explain because she'll technically be my boss. So we'll end with some good news, but I thank you again, Miss Vasser, for being a part of this. And
you know we need to inform a Miss Vasser. Right? Bro, come on now, bro. Come on, bro.
You know, I had to try sneaking in there,
bro.
But what is the good news I'm speaking of, and then we'll actually end it off here.
The good news. So as I said earlier, I work for the State News, which is Michigan State University's independent news student-led news organization. I and a friend of ours got the opportunity to take over the podcast section since the person running the now podcast called The Dinner Table is graduating in December. Me and Shakira, that's her friend who works with me at the State News, said, oh, we could take it over. Anthony will be applying to work for the State News and will be our third host. So please stay tuned to the All Shades of Chocolate podcast coming spring of 2023. We are all very excited, and I cannot wait to get rolling with episodes. It'll be like The Dinner Table Never Left. The Dinner Table is phenomenal. Griffin, I give you all your flowers. You kept that podcast up and running. I give Shakira your flowers. We would not have the podcast team if it's not for her. She does all the editing, all of the sound. I don't understand nothing she does, but she loves it, and we are so happy for her because she could do it all day. And I'm so happy because before her, the State News didn't have a podcast, and I knew we needed something to get our age people involved with reading what we write, and people really listen to our podcast, and they really love it. And me going on Griffin's made me realize that I really wanted to continue being a host. And I knew my silly little friend Anthony has his own podcast, so I'm forcing him to apply to work for our job so he can be our third host. And now you got 2 podcasts to listen to. Because if you don't listen to either, I'm going to beat you up. My bad, bro. My bad.
And I also will be applying to write some type of way in State News as well. And it's such a big opportunity for me, and I can't wait for it as well. And again, to anyone who listened to this, I really appreciate your time, and I hope you tune into another episode. And see you later.
Bye.